Master Lei sighed and continued, moreover they also promised us that we could copy the ancient Buddhist scriptures that the bitter Zen sect took away when we went there. This is really an irresistible temptation. However, we also know that the bitter Zen sect doesn't have good intentions, so we are in a dilemma. The sect master took you over because he wanted to ask you what advice you have on this? Yin Chujio was so smart. She immediately understood what Master Lei and the others were thinking. They wanted to go to the bitter Zen sect, but they were afraid of death, so they wanted her to go with them. After all, she had performed very well at the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly, which made them have confidence in her. Master Lei and the others had indeed planned to do so, but Master Lei's heart was now half cold. Yun Chujio's primordial spirit could not protect herself if it left her body. It was useless to bring her along. She was a burden. Yun Chujio's heart was moved. She was worried that she would not be able to enter the bitter Zen sect, but this was such a good opportunity. No matter what, once she entered the bitter Zen sect, she would have a chance to get close to the soul consolidation spring. She could not give up this opportunity no matter what. Therefore she said, Master Lei, I see that you actually want to go and take a look. Then go and take a look. As for the danger, we can transfer some of it to others. You should immediately invite the people from the 4 great families and the Zen sect to go together. When the people arrive at the bitter Zen sect, the bitter Zen sect will not be able to refuse. Master Lei's eyes immediately lit up. Although 3 of the 4 great families had colluded with the Divine Devil Hall, they were not on good terms with each other. If used properly, the situation could be completely messed up. Immediately, Master Lei brought Yun Chujio to see Master Liaowu. Panda's novel. Master Lei told Master Liaowu about the matter. After a moment of silence, Master Liaowu said, "All right, let's do as she says." The reason why Master Liaowu was so happy was that they really wanted to go to the bitter Zen sect. Whether it was the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds or those ancient Buddhist scriptures, they were too attracted to them. However, there was a thorny problem in front of them. What identity did this troublemaker have to follow them? Yun Chujio or the lonely little monk? Amit Ba. Master, I am your disciple. Naturally, I have to follow you as a lonely person, Yun Chujio said through Gowei Batsao. Master Liaowu also felt that it was safer to bring this fellow with him. However, how could he solve this problem with his appearance, gender, and Buddhist power? Appearance was easy to solve. Although Yun Chujio could not open the storage ring, Di Baiming's storage ring contained a disguise pill. In the end, Master Liaowu took out a ring with a pained expression and said, "This heavenly phoenix ring can be used without spiritual power activation." Gowei Batsao had received He Xinjia's true inheritance. Before Master Liaowu could finish his words, this guy snatched the ring away. The issue of appearance and gender had been resolved. As for the Buddha power, no one could think of any solution. Yun Chujio said, "How about saying that there was a mistake during the breakthrough, so the Buddha power was sealed?" No one had any other choice but to agree. He Xinjio thought for a while. She reckoned that the old fox of the Lan family would find out about it this time. After all, there was no such coincidence. It didn't matter if they found out about it. Yun Chujio was still placed in the wooden house near the Spring of Tranquility. As soon as she returned to the wooden house, she saw Di Baiming. Gowei Batsao hastily recounted what had happened. Di Baiming felt that this was a good idea. He might be able to enter the Spring of Tranquility for treatment with this opportunity. However, he did not expect Yun Chujio to let go Weiba recount, "Prince Charming, don't follow me to the bitter Zen sect." Di Baiming naturally didn't agree. She was now a weakling who was at the mercy of others. How could he not follow her? "Prince Charming, I naturally have a reason for doing this. The bitter Zen sect must have set a trap this time and wanted to harm Master Liaowu and the others. However, I have already asked Master Liaowu to bring the people from the 4 great families along. This way, the arrangements of the bitter Zen sect would definitely be disrupted. However, this is not enough. There is still a huge hidden danger, and that is the Divine Devil Hall. After you leave, think of a way to attract the attention of the Divine Devil Hall to you. Naturally, they will not care about the bitter Zen sect. I can also do things more conveniently," Yun Chujio explained. Although Di Baiming knew that what she said made sense, he was still worried. Gowei Batsao quickly expressed its loyalty. "Great God, don't worry. Gowei Batsao will definitely protect the little fairy well. If it really doesn't work, I can still summon demonic beasts." Di Baiming glanced at it and thought, "It's because of you that I'm worried." In the end, Di Baiming still couldn't persuade Yun Chujio, so he could only agree. Before he left, Di Baiming said to Gowei Batsao coldly, "Let bygones be bygones. If you don't listen to little Jiao and act on your own, this venerable self will definitely make your life worse than death." Go-Wei Batsao trembled like a sieve. Great God, don't worry. I will definitely listen to the little fairy. If the little fairy wants me to go east, I will definitely not go west. If the little fairy wants me to chase the chickens, I will definitely not beat the dogs. Di Biming snorted and Go-Wei Batsao shut her mouth. Even though he was extremely reluctant, Di Biming still gritted his teeth and left. He knew that what Yun Chuzhou said made sense. It was far more beneficial for him to attract the attention of the Divine Devil Hall than to stay here. Go-Wei Batsao saw that Di Biming had quickly disappeared and immediately sat on the ground. Oh God! That fiend had finally left. It scared the baby to death. She had the dual identity of ghost ancestor and demon ancestor after all. Wasn't the pretty boy just a Sheng Zun? Why was Go-Wei Batsao so afraid of the pretty boy but not of her? Yun Chuzhou explained her question and Go-Wei Ba rolled its eyes. Women, as expected, long hair and short knowledge. However, after saying that, Go-Wei Ba seemed to feel that something was wrong. Ah, this stinky girl was now bald. It seemed that regardless of the length of her hair, women were short-sighted. Yun Chuzhou looked at its smug look and secretly gritted her teeth. Very well, Go-Wei Ba, little Jiao will take revenge. 10 years is not too late. Let's wait and see. When the people from the 4 great families had arrived, Master Liaowu brought everyone to the Sea of Clouds. The heads of the 4 great families and Master Liaowu and the others were on the same spaceship. Everyone's gaze fell on the lonely little monk. The lonely little monk put his palms together. After saluting everyone, he silently retreated to the side. Master Liaowu sighed and said, "Alas, my disciple had a bad breakthrough a few days ago, and his Buddhist energy was sealed. Fortunately, he is simple-minded and not affected. That's why I brought him to admire the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds. Perhaps he can recover soon." Hearing this, the crowd suddenly came to a realization. They all had different thoughts. Some were sympathetic and some were gloating. However, the ancestor of the Lan family frowned. How could it be so coincidental? The spiritual power of that troublemaker had been sealed, and the Buddhist power of Lonesome had been sealed. Moreover, the Zen sect had hurriedly taken that troublemaker to the Zen sect. The conclusion was obvious. Could it be that the little monk Lonesome in front of them was that troublemaker? The more Ancestor Lan thought about it, the more suspicious he felt. However, it wasn't appropriate to ask at this time. He only looked at lonely little monk with a complicated expression. Hei Xingjiu, who was floating in the air, saw the look in Ancestor Lan's eyes and knew that she had been exposed. However, this fellow was already mentally prepared and didn't take it to heart. She was afraid that Go-Wei Batsao would mess up lonely little monk's character, so she made him sit cross-legged in meditation before rolling back to his dantian. In this way, lonely little monk gave people a calm and unperturbed look. Seeing this, everyone sighed with admiration at the little lonely monk's good nature. He was actually so calm despite encountering such an unforeseen event. Go-Wei Batsao cursed in her heart. Of course she was calm and tranquil. This smelly girl's body was as if it was dead. How could she not be calm? The bitter Zen sect was located in the westernmost part of the Chongshao continent. Therefore, the flying spirit tool flew for nearly 10 days before they arrived at the Sea of Clouds. When Yun Chuzhou saw the Sea of Clouds, she could not help but be shocked. The mist valley that she had seen before could not be compared to the Sea of Clouds in front of her. This Sea of Clouds was just like a fairyland. From afar, several halls of the bitter Zen sect could be vaguely seen in the Sea of Clouds. They were somewhat similar to the floating layer of the Supreme City. While everyone was sighing, Xian Hui had already brought people to welcome them. "Everyone, please forgive me for not welcoming you from afar. Senior brother Xianji is busy with other matters and cannot personally come to welcome you. Please do not take offense," Xian Hui said politely. Everyone also exchanged a few pleasantries and followed Xian Hui into the Sea of Clouds. When Xian Hui saw lonely little monk, a trace of malice flashed in his eyes. This lonely had killed his disciple Yuan Guang. This time he must not return. However, Xian Hui was stunned for a moment. Why didn't this lonely have any Buddhist power cultivation? Xian Hui couldn't help but ask, "Master Liaowu, why does your disciple have no cultivation?" Amit Ba Buddha. When Lonely was breaking through a few days ago, some bad things happened. Therefore his Buddhist power was sealed, Master Liaowu replied. I think you should take a look at Xian Hui thought he deserved it. He really deserved it. He had lost his cultivation, which made him even easier to deal with. Lonesome was dead for sure. Go-Wei Batsao felt Xian Hui's gaze and wished it could go over and beat him to death. However, it didn't have enough strength left in its heart, so it could only endure it. However, this guy didn't grow up and soon began to swing his arms. Hei Xinjiu, who was floating in the air, cursed angrily, "Go Weiba, you better walk properly." Gowei Batsao had no choice but to continue pretending reluctantly. After a while they finally arrived at the mountain gate of the Bitter Zen sect. The mountain gate of the Bitter Zen sect was almost exactly the same as the mountain gate of the Zen sect, except that there was an additional word bitter on the plaque. "Everyone please come in," Xian Hui said politely. After exchanging some pleasantries with Master Liaowu and the others, they entered the gate one by one. Lonely Monk was a junior, so he naturally had to be at the back of the line. However, no one had expected that just as this guy's left foot stepped into the gate, a huge force came at him. This guy was careless for a moment and fell on his butt. Gowei Batsao was so angry that he almost flew into a rage. Who did this? Was he really trying to make things difficult for Go Weiba? This was truly outrageous. He really wanted to see who was plotting against him? Ji Kong and Ji Su quickly helped Lonely Monk up. They thought that he was weak, so they helped him to walk inside. Who would have thought that he would be knocked down by a huge force the moment he reached the mountain gate? Ji Kong and Ji Su were also dragged down. Go Weiba was dumbfounded. It wasn't man-made? Then what was going on? Everyone's gaze also fell on it. Master Liaowu frowned slightly. "Lonesome, what's going on?" Gowei Batsao quickly followed Yun Chujia's instructions and said with some grievance, "Master, perhaps it's because Disciples' Buddha power has been sealed, so I can't enter the mountain gate." Master Liaowu was stunned. What kind of reason was this? The people of the four great families didn't have Buddhist power either. Didn't they all come in all of a sudden? A strange look flashed in Xian Hu's eyes. Although he didn't know what the reason was, he could make a big deal out of it. He quickly thought of a vicious idea. He put his palms together and said, "Amitba. Master Liaowu, you don't know that the mountain gate of our Bitter Zen sect has a Buddha's eye demon discerning array. Since Lonesome is unable to enter the mountain gate, he must have been possessed by an evil demon. In other words, he is most likely a reincarnation of the demon race. Since that's the case, you'd better kill him out of righteousness so as not to bring harm to the common people." Gowei Batsao almost died from anger. "This damned old bald donkey. You are the real reincarnation of the demon race. You are the one who is bringing harm to the common people. I'm so angry." Fortunately, after being threatened by Di Baiming, this fellow did not dare to act on his own now. Otherwise this fellow would definitely scold Xian Hui until her blood boiled. Master Liaowu was also very angry. That little girl was possessed by the Buddha's candle. How was she the reincarnation of the demon race? What nonsense. However, why was the mountain gate not letting her in? Was it because her primordial spirit had left her body? Sect Master Lei Wu said in a deep voice, "Master Liaowu, that's not true. I have been worshipping Buddha in the Thousand Buddha Cave for many years. How could I be the reincarnation of the demon race? I think you should take a look at it. Was probably because his cultivation had been sealed that there was such a misunderstanding. If the Bitter Zen sect treats our guests like this, then our Zen sect can only bid farewell." Xian Hui secretly gritted her teeth. If they let Master Liaowu leave just like that, then their Bitter Zen sect's efforts would be in vain. Moreover, there were plenty of ways to deal with that loneliness, so it wouldn't take too long. Thinking of this, he shook his head and sighed. "All right, since Master Liaowu insists on doing this, then I have nothing more to say." Master Liaowu snorted coldly and gave a look to Master Lei. Master Lei immediately walked to the side of Gowei Batsao and carried it into the mountain gate. During this process, Master Lei also felt the huge force. However, his cultivation was superb, so he managed to force his way through the mountain gate. Gowei Batsao shook his arm and jumped a few times on the spot. After seeing that there was nothing unusual, he was finally relieved. Hei Xinjiu was furious. This damned Gowei Batsao had almost destroyed the character of Lonely Little Monk. Fortunately, Gowei Batsao began to put on an act again after being scolded. Moreover, as it was a grass, its mind was even purer. At this moment, the appearance that it put on with all its heart felt somewhat ethereal. When everyone saw this, the doubts that rose up earlier were also put down. The reason why Lonely was jumping and jumping earlier was probably because he was scared. Yun Chujio also heaved a sigh of relief. However, she was so angry that she almost disappeared. As the Sea of Clouds was very suitable for the growth of medicinal herbs, there were many medicinal herbs growing on both sides of the road. Moreover, most of them were rarely seen in other places. Therefore, the crowd was dumbfounded when they saw little Monk Lone jump into the medicinal herb bush and start pulling the grass. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw Lonely Little Monk's action. What did he mean? Why did Lonely pluck those herbs? Did those herbs offend him? Only He Xingjiu, who was floating in the air, knew that the reason Go Weiba plucked the herbs was naturally gluttony. She was so angry that she shouted, "Go Weiba, stop right now. Otherwise you will never see Xiao Mogu again." Yun Chujio was not willing to use this to threaten Go Weibatsao because she always felt that she was the mother of the couple. Of course, it was only Go Weibakeo's wishful thinking. Xiao Mogu did not even think about it. When Go Weibatsao heard the words Xiao Mogu, it struggled in its heart. In the end, it had the upper hand and reluctantly withdrew its claws. Pandas novel come therefore, this fellow hugged the medicinal herbs and asked Jisoo to help it put them away. Jisoo helped it put away the medicinal herbs with a stiff face. Then he heard Go Weibatsao put his palms together and say, "Amitba. This penniless monk has been learning alchemy recently. Therefore when I saw these medicinal herbs, I couldn't help but feel embarrassed." Of course these words were taught by He Xingjiu. No matter what, he had to give himself a way out. Master Liaowu thought to himself that the Buddhist candle was unreliable. Why would he pluck other people's herbs for no reason? Although he was cursing in his heart, he still said cooperatively, "Master Shen Hui, I'm really sorry. This disciple of mine has been obsessed with studying these herbs ever since he failed in his cultivation. Alas, I can't be too harsh on him since he has suffered such a blow. Please forgive him, Master Shen Hui." I think you should take a look at Shen Hui didn't say anything. He just said a few polite words and continued to accompany the others to the meeting hall. Go Weibatsao glanced at the herbs on both sides of the road from the corner of his eye and swallowed his saliva secretly. This bitter Zen sect was much better than the Zen sect. There was delicious food everywhere. It was simply too blissful to live here. This fellow's mind was full of herbs. It wished it could lie down in the grass and take a bite. Yun Chujio knew Go Weibatsao too well. Naturally, she knew what it was thinking about now. She warned, "Go Weibatsao, you better restrain yourself. If you are exposed, I won't be able to recover and neither will you." Hearing this, Go Weibatsao continued to walk forward without looking sideways. This fellow was thinking in his heart, there should be medicinal herbs in the place where he would be staying at night, right? When the time came just as Go Weibatsao was thinking about something, everyone arrived at the meeting hall. Master Xuanji personally waited at the door, appearing to be very sincere. "I'm really sorry, I was busy with trivial matters and didn't welcome you. Please." After exchanging some pleasantries, they entered the meeting hall. After the guests and the host were seated, they began to chat. It was nothing more than empty pleasantries. He Xingjiu, who was floating in the air, curled her lips when she saw Master Xuanzi's hypocritical look. She had thought that Master Xuanji was just selfish and ruthless. She didn't expect that he was actually lecherous. He was really nothing. She didn't know if the other people of the bitter Zen sect knew about the deal between him and the Qing family. If they knew about it but didn't have any reaction, it meant that the people of the bitter Zen sect were nothing either. However, if the others didn't know about it, it would be a good opportunity to mess up the bitter Zen sect. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Master Xuanji said, "Everyone, the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds will only appear on the 1st and 15th day of the Lunar New Year. Today is the 10th day of the Lunar New Year. Therefore please don't be impatient. Let's spend a few days in the bitter Zen sect." No one had any objections to this. Since they were already here, it would be better to take the opportunity to visit the bitter Zen sect for a few days. After all, the bitter Zen sect had 10,000 years of history. Master Xuanji asked his men to arrange for everyone to rest in the guest room before inviting them to a banquet in the evening. Yun Chujio, who was floating in the air, caught a glimpse of a few hostile gazes. They were all old acquaintances, Yuan Tong, Yuan Ji and Yuan Qing. Yun Chujio had already expected this, so she was not surprised at all. She wanted to see what kind of trouble they were going to cause. Master Liaowu was worried that little monk Lonely would be in trouble if he did not have spiritual power, so when he allocated the houses, he directly let Go Weibatsao live in the same courtyard as him. Go Weibatsao was very reluctant. With this old monk around, it could not eat grass. But on second thought, it was a weak chicken now. It was safer to follow this old monk. Forget it, let's live together. Master Liaowu moved into the main room, and Go Weibatsao moved into the side room on the east side. This guy carried the herbs he got from Jisoo into the room and began eating grass. While eating, this guy whispered, "The herbs here are more delicious than other places. Little fairy, think of a way to take this bitter Zen sect for yourself." Although he didn't think that Yun Chujio and Little Fairy had anything to do with each other, he was flexible. In order to achieve his goal, he would even call Yun Chujio Great Aunt, let alone Little Fairy. Yun Chujio glanced at him. "That's easy for you to say. The bitter Zen sect is not that easy to get." Don't think about these endless things. The most important thing now is to find the location of the soul-fixing spring and find a way to return my primordial spirit to my body. What you said makes sense. We have to enter the soul-strengthening spring as soon as possible to soak in it. Have you thought of a way? Goei Batsao said. I think you should take a look at Goei Batsao also wanted to return Yun Chujia's primordial spirit to her body as soon as possible because it was too hard to be a human, especially when it was the life of a monk. Moreover, if the stinky girl did not return her primordial spirit to her body, she would not be able to release Xiao Mogu. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. She said, since the bitter Zen sect asked us to wait here for a few days, they will definitely send someone to show us around. One of them will definitely be the soul-strengthening spring. When the time comes, pretend that you accidentally fell into the pool. Goei Batsao immediately gave Yun Chujio a thumbs up. You are really cunning. Okay, let's do it. Yun Chujio was too lazy to argue with it. She also reminded her of the things that she needed to pay attention to at the banquet. Very soon it was time for the banquet. The banquet was filled with vegetarian dishes, but there was wine. In the Chongshan continent, although Buddhist practitioners ate vegetarian food, they could still drink wine. This wine is brewed from the spring water of the soul consolidation spring. It is refreshing and mellow. Moreover, it is extremely beneficial to the cultivation of the spiritual sense. Everyone please. Master Xuanji said with a smile. Yun Chujio, who was floating in the air, curled her lips. The pretty boy had told her that the spring water of the soul consolidating spring was useless when it left the pond. This Xianji must be exaggerating. Just as this fellow was thinking about it, he saw Goei Batsao already gulping down a few cups of wine. This fellow even winked at her to claim credit. Did that mean that it was smart? This wine was brewed from the spring water of the soul consolidation spring. Perhaps it would be beneficial. Yun Chujio wished she could strangle this fellow to death. As expected, she saw her face was instantly dyed with a layer of pink. She was even a little shaky when she sat down. Although Goei Batsao could absorb the poison, it could not cure the alcohol. Moreover, due to its gluttony, its main body had also drunk 2 cups. At this moment it felt that it wanted to fly. It tried its best to resist the urge to flying with its arms. It kept chanting in its heart, 1 Xiao Mogu, 2 Xiao Mogu. Yun Chujio was so angry that she was about to explode. However, it was useless to be angry. She could only pray that this Goei Batsao would not make a fool of himself, and that he would not cause any trouble. After everyone drank a few glasses of wine, the atmosphere became lively. Xian Hui glanced at Goei Batsao, then said with a faint smile, Senior brother sect leader, something strange happened today. Master Xuanji showed a curious look. What is it? Tell me. Today, when I accompanied the distinguished guests to enter the mountain gate, Lone was stopped twice by the Buddha's eye demon formation. In the end, a master lay forcefully brought him in. Xian Hui said with a fake smile. Master Xuanji immediately turned pale with fright. There is such a thing? Since the Buddha's eye demon formation blocked Lone outside the gate, it means that there must be something wrong with him. Maybe he is the reincarnation of the demon race. Pandas novel. Yun Chujio also frowned. She was not worried about how these 2 people would make things difficult for Goei Batsao. After all, before their goal was completed, they would not provoke the Zen sect too much. She frowned because she could not understand why she was blocked outside the mountain gate. Was it targeted at her or Goei Batsao? Just as she was thinking about it, she heard a crackling sound. When she looked closely, she felt her head hurt even more. Goei Batsao swept all the cups, bowls and plates on his table to the ground. It was not enough to vent his anger, so he directly flipped the table over. Goei Batsao took the opportunity to wave his arm a few times. He felt much more comfortable. I think you should take a look at. He felt comfortable and everyone was dumbfounded. This lonely little monk was too bold. This was the territory of the bitter Zen sect and he actually dared to flip the table? Master Liaowu secretly complained in his heart. He thought that Lonely's core was the Buddha's candle, and he knew that it was very naughty. He could only hope that Yun Chujia's primordial spirit could restrain it. Seeing that Goei Batsao flipped over, Master Xuanzi's face immediately darkened. Lonely, what do you mean? Goei Batsao was already 80% drunk. He pointed at Master Xuanji and said, You are the reincarnation of the demon race. Your entire family is the reincarnation of the demon race. This penniless monk is the son of Buddha. He has nothing to do with the demon race. What Buddha's eye demon discerning array? If I had to say, there is nothing at the mountain gate. It must be that your bitter Zen sect has used some means to frame this penniless monk. The meeting hall was dead silent. Everyone stared at the furious lonely little monk with their mouths agape. Was this still that innocent and harmless lonely little Buddha? This was simply no different from a scoundrel in the marketplace. Yun Chuzhou was so angry that she was twitching. The persona that she had painstakingly built up was all destroyed by this damn Go Wei Batsao. Master Liaowu also felt a little pain in his head. He quickly said, "Evil creature. Why aren't you sitting down? What nonsense are you spouting?" Go Wei Batsao wanted to continue cursing, but when he saw Yun Chuzhi's gloomy expression, he finally sobered up a little and sat down awkwardly. Master Liaowu put his palms together towards Master Xuanji. Amit Ba. This evil disciple of mine had some changes in his temperament due to a mistake in his cultivation. In addition, people who cultivate Buddhism are most afraid of being called devils, so it is understandable that he is so excited. Master Xuanji, please don't lower yourself to his level. Chapter 53:16 The people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace. Master Xuanzi's face was as dark as water. He had always disliked lonely monk, and now that he was being scolded in public, it would be strange if his mood was good. He originally only wanted to add trouble to Master Liaowu and didn't really intend to do anything to lonely monk, but now he had changed his mind. This lonely monk had a belly full of bad water. Getting rid of him first would also be beneficial to the next plan. Thus, he said, "Master Liaowu, if he only offended me with words, I won't hold it against him for your sake. However, this is related to the demon race, so we have to act cautiously." When Master Liaowu heard him say this, his heart sank. He knew that he definitely had a backup plan. As expected, Xianji continued, "How about this? Our bitter Zen sect has a pagoda of refining demons. It was given to us by the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace thousands of years ago. If you are not a demon, you will be safe and sound in the pagoda. If you are a demon, you will be trapped in the pagoda and eventually turn into nothingness. For the sake of prudence and to clear Lone's name, let him try entering the pagoda of refining demons." Xinjia's heart immediately sank. Although she did not know whether she was a demon or not, her father and mother were very likely to be demons. She might really be a demon. Moreover, she was a ghost ancestor and a monster ancestor. She might even be inextricably linked to the demon race. If she entered that so-called devil refining pagoda, would she still be able to survive? Therefore she could not enter no matter what. Thinking of this, she said to Go Wei Batsao, "Go Wei Batsao, it's fine if you were fooling around before. This time you must do as I say. Do you hear me?" Although Go Wei Batsao was a little drunk, it also knew that this matter was very important, so it immediately nodded. Go Wei Batsao did as Yun Chuzhou taught it. It sneered and said, "Devil refining pagoda? Who knows whether it is the devil refining pagoda or not? Maybe you are targeting this penniless monk because of the last 10,000 Buddha's grand meeting and want to take this penniless monk's life. Master, I think the bitter Zen sect is lying about the Buddhist light in the sea of clouds. They want to kill us both. If that's the case, what's the point of us staying here? Let's go now." Master Xuanji, Lonesome's words may not be pleasant to hear, but they make sense. Our Zen sect is the holy land of Buddhism, and Lonesome worships the Buddha in the 1,000 Buddha's cave. He has always been fine. Why is he being slandered as a devil by you? It seems that there is no need for us to stay. Farewell. Master Liaowu stood up and was about to leave. Of course, he did not want Lone to enter the devil refining pagoda. After all, the Buddha's candle had the bell of dawn and the wooden fish of evening in it. If it was really refined, their Zen sect would suffer a great loss. Moreover, this little girl called him master. He could not just watch her enter a dangerous situation. Perhaps the devil refining pagoda was a harmful thing. Xianji didn't expect Master Liaowu to have such a big reaction. After weighing the pros and cons in his heart, he decided to give up on letting Yun Chuzhou enter the devil refining pagoda. At this moment, a monk ran in a panic. "Master, someone from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall has come." As soon as the monk said this, everyone stood up. What? Someone from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall had come? In the eyes of these people, the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall was a lofty existence. They looked up to the people of the divine enlightenment continent as if they were mortals looking up to immortals. They didn't expect to see people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall in their lifetime. They were surprised, happy, and a little nervous. Chapter 53:17 floated in the air. Master Liao's heart sank. Why were the people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace here? Could it be that they were here for Yun Chuzhou? He couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, the ring that Yun Chuzhou was wearing at this moment was of a higher grade than the previous one. Even the people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace might not be able to see through it. Yun Chujia's eyes were deep. People from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace? The culprit who imprisoned her parents? She wanted to see for herself. At this moment, Master Xuanji hurriedly said, "Everyone quick, follow me out to welcome the lords of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall." Only then did everyone wake up from their dreams. They followed Master Xuanji out of the meeting hall. Not long after everyone walked out, they saw 3 monks walking over. What surprised everyone was that the 3 monks were actually floating in the air. Although they were only 1 foot above the ground, it was still shocking enough. It must be known that the people of the heavy cloud continent could only fly by relying on spirit tools, but these 3 monks could actually fly without relying on anything. It was really shocking. Among the 3 monks, 1 walked in the front, while the other 2 were half a step behind. Obviously, the monk in front had a higher status. The 3 people didn't have any expression on their faces, but if one looked closely, one would see the disdain and arrogance hidden in their eyes. In their eyes, the people of the Chongshao continent were no different from ants. If it wasn't for the higher-ups' instructions, they wouldn't have come to this inferior continent where the spiritual and Buddhist powers were both poor. Master Xuanji was the first to kneel on the ground, and the others could only follow suit. Yun Chujio curled her lips. The Xianji's bones were really soft. He hadn't done anything yet, but he had already knelt down. Gowei Batsao didn't have the moral integrity of a human, so it didn't feel any psychological burden and also knelt down. When the 3 monks of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall saw that everyone was kowtowing, the disdain in their eyes became even more intense. The monk in the lead said indifferently, "All of you stand up." Only then did Master Xuanji stand up, and then said in fear and trepidation, "May I know how to address the 3 eminent monks?" "This penniless monk Yin Chang, this is Yin Zhao, Yin Su, 2 junior brothers." Yin Chang still said indifferently. "So it's Master Yin Chang, Master Yin Zhao, Master Yin Su. The 3 masters please come in." Master Xuanji said respectfully. The 3 people didn't stand on ceremony, and walked past the crowd to the front of the meeting hall. Master Xuanji gave the main seat to Yin Chang, and as for him and the others, they stood respectfully to the side, not even daring to sit down. How could Gowei Batsao know that there were twists and turns here? It plopped down on its original seat. Master Liao's sweat immediately broke out and he glared at it. Gowei Batsao only then realized and stood up. It was over, it was 80% likely that it was in trouble again. How could it have such a tough life? It was fine that it accidentally injured the smelly girl in the battle, but how could it be in trouble now that it sat down? As expected, Yin Chang and the other 2's gazes fell on Gowei Batsao. However, when they saw that it didn't have any cultivation, their gazes immediately shifted away. Although Gowei Batsao sat down on its own accord and was disrespectful to them, they didn't need to be bothered with an ant. The important matter was more important. Master Xuanji quickly ordered people to serve the best tea and the other 2 pastries, and politely invited Yin Chang and the other 2 to taste them. Yin Chang glanced at the fragrant tea offered but didn't drink it. How could he have the nerve to offer them such tea leaves? This Chongshao continent was indeed very barren. Seeing that Yin Chang and the other 2 were about to taste it, Master Xuanji said, "Master Yin Chang and the other 2, I wonder if the 3 of you have any instructions for coming to our bitter Zen sect this time." Chapter 53 18,000 Aijin Demon Array. Yin Chang glanced at the crowd. He intentionally released his aura. Some of the people with lower cultivation could not help but sweat and even tremble. Gowei Batsao did not find anything unusual, but she was still trembling under He Xinjia's order, just like the others. Yin Chang noticed that the crowd was even more respectful to him, and there was a hint of pride in his eyes. He then said, "Back then our 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall set up a formation at the entrance of your bitter Zen sect. Today there are actually signs of activation. Although it's not very obvious, it also means that something is wrong. That's why they sent me here to take a look." As soon as Yin Chang's words came out, everyone's expressions changed. Master Xuanji and the others were naturally gloating. What they said about the Buddha's demon discerning formation was just nonsense. They didn't expect the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall to really set up a formation at the entrance. Moreover, from what they had said, it was obvious that activating the array wasn't a good thing. That Lone was going to be unlucky. He might even implicate the Zen sect. The Lan family's ancestor had determined that the little monk Lone was Yun Chujio, the troublemaker. At this moment he was burning with anxiety, thinking that this guy was seeking death by playing tricks. There was no need to pretend to be the little monk Lone. This time he was going to lose his life. Master Liaowu and the others were even more anxious. If the people of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall were to see through Lone's identity, they would definitely be blamed. If they had known this would happen, they would not have come to the bitter Zen sect. It was too late to repent. Hei Shinjio, who was floating in the air, felt as if her heart was bickering with a dog. She had never thought that the mountain gate of the bitter Zen sect really had a formation. Moreover, it was a formation set up by the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall. Today's matter was going to be terrible. Goeibatsu was also a little nervous. After all, Yunchujio was its host. If its host died, it might not be able to find another host for a long time. Sect Master Xuanji suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and said, "Master Xuanji, what kind of array formation is the front gate?" "The Thousand-Eye Jinemo array that can identify the devil chi. Is there anything unusual this afternoon?" Inchang asked. Xianji was overjoyed and quickly said, "To tell you the truth, Lone from the Zen sect was blocked twice by a huge force when he passed by the mountain gate this afternoon. Later he was forcefully brought into the mountain gate by the Zen sect." Yin Chang slightly raised his eyebrows and asked, "Where is the Lone you mentioned?" Xianji immediately pointed at Goeibatsu, who was trying his best to reduce his presence. "Lone, why don't you come over and confess your crimes?" Goeibatsu was furious. "Confess my ass? It was obviously just a grass, it had nothing to do with the devil, all right?" However, it also knew that now was not the time to mess around. It quickly followed Yun Chujia's instructions and walked in front of Yin Chang and the other two with an innocent and aggrieved expression. "Amitba. The three eminent monks are wise. This penniless monk worships Buddha all year round. I really don't know why I was blocked outside the mountain gate. There must be a misunderstanding," Goeibatsu said. Yin Chang sized up Goeibatsu. He didn't expect that the one who had triggered the array was this little monk without cultivation. However, he didn't have the patience to investigate the truth. Since this little monk had triggered the array, he would kill him. Yun Chujio saw the killing intent in Yin Chang's eyes and her heart tightened. Not good. This Yin Chang actually wanted to kill her. She quickly commanded Goeibatsu, "Master, you look like an accomplished monk. I believe that you want disregard human lives. Please clear this penniless monk's name." Chapter 53:19 Who hit me? Yin Chang glanced at Goeibatsu with disdain. Did this trash without cultivation think that he would spare him just because he said a few good words? He didn't want to stay in the Chongshao continent for even a moment. How could he have the patience to return his innocence? Whether he was innocent or deserved it had nothing to do with him. He just needed to complete the mission. Yun Chujio saw the killing intent in his eyes grow stronger, and she knew something was wrong. Before she could think of anything, she saw Master Liaowu bow and say, "Master, Lonesome is simple-minded and has been worshipping Buddha in the Thousand Buddha Cave. Do you think there's some misunderstanding?" Yun Chujio did not expect Master Liaowu to plead on her behalf. Although he did it largely for the sake of Daybreak Bell and 11 Wanmu, she still remembered his kindness. After all, not everyone had the courage to plead in front of the people of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace. They were already scared out of their wits. The old ancestor of the Lan family also wanted to plead, but he had no position. After all, little monk Lonely had nothing to do with the Lan family on the surface. Yin Chang looked at Master Liaowu unhappily and sneered, "Are you doubting the thousand-eye demon array of our 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace? Or are you doubting my decision?" Master Liaowu immediately said in fear and trepidation, "Master, you misunderstood me. How could I dare to doubt you? But this Lone is my disciple. Can you give him a chance to prove his innocence?" Before Yin Chang could say anything, Yin Zhao behind him mocked, "Your disciple? So what? Do you think you are useful in front of us? Forget about Lonesome being guilty. Even if he isn't, do we, the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, need the consent of ants like you to kill someone? If you say any more, I'll kill you too." Yin Zhao's words could be said to be extremely arrogant. The Lan family's ancestor and the others were usually people who could call the wind and summon the rain, so how could they have ever suffered such cowardice? However, even if they were dissatisfied, they could only endure it. Although Yin Zhao's words were unpleasant to hear, it was also the truth. They were indeed ants in the eyes of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall. Master Liao's face flushed red. He didn't know what to say. Yun Chujia's eyes were filled with anger. She floated in front of Yin Zhao and raised her hand to slap him. This fellow was also furious. He didn't hope that he would succeed. After all, other than the slap he gave Di Biming, he had never succeeded. A loud slap sounded, and half of Yin Zhao's face immediately swelled up. Everyone was stunned. No one had expected such a thing to happen. Who had slapped Yin Zhao? Yin Zhao was completely dumbfounded. How did he get slapped all of a sudden? Which ant had hit him? However, the sect leader and the others were still quite a distance away from the three of them. He was not blind, so he did not see any movement from those people. Could it be that he had seen a ghost? Yun Chujio saw his swollen face and wanted to beat him up again, but her hand directly went through Yin Zhao's head. This guy was a little annoyed. If he had known earlier, he would have slapped Yin Zhao's temple and killed him. Yin Zhao was embarrassed and angry. He shouted angrily, "Who hit me? Get out here." Naturally, no one would come out. Although Master Liaowu and the others did not say it, they were very angry in their hearts. They deserved it. Why didn't they beat you to death? Yin Chang frowned and coughed. Yin Zhao didn't make a sound. He stared at everyone sinisterly. It must be someone among these ants. If he knew who it was, he would definitely kill him. Chapter 53:20 Voluntary Entry into the Devil Refining Pagoda. Yun Chujio used this short period of time to think about several things. Master Liaowu and the other two could not fight head-on to protect her and Yin Chang and the other two. She had to save herself. However, her primordial spirit was out of her body. Gowei Batsao had no other means of attack other than summoning demonic beasts. How could she save her life? She thought for a moment and finally gritted her teeth. She immediately had Gowei Batsao speak loudly, "Master, although this penniless monk's life is as cheap as an ant, this penniless monk is a Buddhist cultivator after all. Even if I die, I don't want to bear the name of the demon race. I voluntarily entered the devil refining pagoda. If this penniless monk is able to come out safely, Master, please clear this penniless monk's name." Yin Chang frowned. His original intention was to kill this lone and return to the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace immediately. However, what Yin Zhao had done just now made him suspicious. Could it be that there were hidden experts among the people present? Although he felt that the people of the Heavy Cloud continent were like ants, there was no guarantee that the people of the other factions in the Divine Enlightenment continent would be hiding among them. It would be best if there were no complications. Moreover, he had long heard of the devil refining pagoda and wanted to see it. Thinking of this, he said lightly, "All right, we will do as you say." Hearing this, Master Xuanji hurriedly said, "The devil refining pagoda is at the back of the mountain. Please step forward, my lords." Yin Chang nodded, and everyone immediately left the meeting hall and rushed to the back of the Bitter Zen sect. Master Liaowu, the ancestor of the Lan family, and the others had grave expressions on their faces. Although they were sure that Yun Chujio was not a devil, she did not have the slightest bit of cultivation now. Could she come out of the devil refining pagoda alive? If there were other options, Yun Chujio would naturally not choose this. However, there was only one way to survive now. Gowei Batsao was also a little apprehensive. The storm had already passed. Would she capsize in this little ditch? It stared at Yin Chang and the other two who were walking in front and secretly hated them. If it were not for these three old bald donkeys, there would not be such a terrible thing. Unfortunately, it was too weak now. Otherwise it would kill them. Otherwise it would lure some demonic beasts over? No, there shouldn't be too powerful demonic beasts nearby. If they came over, they would be courting death. Just as Gowei Batsao was gnashing his teeth, everyone had already arrived at the devil refining pagoda. In the clouds, a 3-story pagoda appeared in front of everyone. It looked like the pagoda before them was not much different from an ordinary pagoda, but everyone knew that since this devil refining pagoda was given to them by the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, its power must be extraordinary. Yin Chang and the other two had a complicated expression on their faces. They did not have a high status in the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, so they did not know some of the secrets. They couldn't help but wonder, why would they give a treasure like the refined devil pagoda to the Bitter Zen sect? Wasn't this a reckless waste of God's gift? Master Xuanji said respectfully to Yin Chang, "Master, should I open the refined devil pagoda now?" After seeing Yin Chang nod, he took out a Buddhist bead and activated it with Buddhist power. The Buddhist bead flew toward the refined devil pagoda and landed in the groove. The door of the devil refining pagoda slowly opened, and there seemed to be Buddhist chanting coming from inside. Gowei Batsao immediately walked into the devil refining pagoda with her head held high and her chest puffed out. The door of the pagoda slowly closed. Yun Chujio and Gowei Batsao looked around as soon as they entered the devil refining pagoda. They realized that the place they were at now looked similar to the Great Hall of the Mahavira. In front of them was a huge Buddha statue. The Buddha statue looked solemn and benevolent as it looked at them. Chapter 53:21 was so painful Gowei Batsao immediately knelt on the futon in front of the Buddha statue and mumbled, Buddha bless bless my Gowei Batsao to cultivate into human form as soon as possible, bless my wedding night." Yun Chujio could not help but roll her eyes. At this time she actually had the leisure to ask for a wedding night? She did not pay attention to the muttering Gowei Batsao, but looked around. Previously when she saw that there were 3 floors in the pagoda, she thought that this was the first floor. However, this place was different from what she had imagined, and nothing dangerous had happened. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking, the Buddha statue shot out 10,000 rays of golden light to envelop the Gowei Batsao. Gowei Batsao immediately cried out in pain, "Ouch, ouch, it hurts so much." Yun Chujio looked up and saw that Gowei Bakao's clothes had been dyed red with blood. It must have been injured by the golden light. I can't. I have to go back to my dantian. If I stay any longer, my baby will die of pain. Gowei Batsao cried out. Yun Chujio snorted, "This little pain is nothing compared to the breaking of the meridians. You can't even bear this, right?" Gowei Batsao stopped crying when it heard that. It snorted, "I was just playing with you. To an unparalleled hero like me, this little pain is nothing." Yun Chujio glanced at it, "Is that so? Then I'll have to take a good look." Gowei Batsao had already said its big words. It could only secrete juice to quickly repair Yun Chujio's body while enduring the pain and pretending that it did not care. Yun Chujio was secretly happy. She was naturally trying to provoke it. If she really let Gowei Batsao return to her dantian, her body might be fatally injured. If that was the case, even if she could return her primordial spirit to her body in the future, she might be in trouble. Gowei Batsao grimaced in pain and cursed, "Damn it, I kowtowed to this Buddha statue for nothing. Not only did I not get any benefits, I was even injured by its golden light. If it was not for the fact that I can't use it now, I would definitely smash this useless Buddha statue." Yun Chujio looked at Gowei Batsao grimacing in pain and could not help but feel glad that her primordial spirit was now out of her body, or else she would suffer. However, this was not the way to go on. She had to enter the second level as soon as possible. However, where was the entrance? Yun Chujio and Gowei Batsao searched for a long time but still could not find the entrance to the second level. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Could it be that she was really a demon? So, she was trapped in the first level and suffered until she died? She did not care whether she was a demon or not. Regardless of whether she was a human or a demon, it was just that they were on different sides. In fact, there was no difference. However, how could she break the dilemma in front of her? Finally, her gaze landed on the Buddha statue. The right hand of the Buddha statue was placed on the right knee, and her fingers touched the ground. She had read a lot of Buddhist scriptures in the Buddhist scripture library of the Zen sect, so she knew that this was the devil-subduing seal. However, it looked a little out of place. What was wrong with it? Yun Chujio's pupils suddenly constricted. She knew. Logically speaking, the 5 fingers of the right hand of the Buddha statue should be together, but the little finger of the right hand of the Buddha statue seemed to tilt slightly to the right. Yun Chujio floated closer to take a closer look and saw that the little finger was pointing at a lotus petal carved on the lotus seat. Yun Chujio immediately said to Gowei Batsao, "Come over and press this lotus petal. This should be the mechanism leading to the second floor." Chapter 53:22, 18 Arhats. Gowei Batsao was skeptical and asked, "How did you know?" Yun Chujio glanced at it. "If I asked you to press it, then press it. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Gowei Batsao was so angry that it was twitching. It cursed in its heart. Did this stupid girl really think that it was afraid of her? Pui. Shameless. However, it still had to point at this stupid girl. It did not want to be trapped in this broken pagoda. Hence, it climbed onto the Buddha statue and pressed on the lotus petal that Yun Chujio was pointing at. This fellow cursed in its heart. If there was no reaction after pressing on it, it would definitely laugh at this stupid girl. Otherwise, she would really think that she knew everything about astronomy and geography. However, when its hand touched the petal, it actually pressed on it. At the same time, a stone staircase appeared out of thin air, leading to the roof. It really worked? Although Gowei Batsao was a little unwilling, it had to admit that Yun Chujio was indeed capable. How did she discover it? However, the most important thing now was to hurry up and go to the second floor. It did not want to suffer the pain of 1,000 cuts. Yun Chujio glanced at the Gowei Batsao that was trying its best to climb at night. The reason why she was scolding it earlier was that she was afraid that it would be too arrogant and would not listen to her arrangements. She finally realized that she could not give it any face with this scheming plant. Otherwise, it would take advantage of her. The Gowei Batsao climbed up the stone stairs and finally reached the second floor of the pagoda. Seeing the scene before him, Gowei Batsao could not help but be shocked. There were 18 Arhat statues on this level, and each of them glared at Gowei Batsao ferociously. Normally, Gowei Batsao would not be afraid of them, but now that Goei-Batsao did not have any abilities, it felt a little guilty. Little fairy, quickly look for the mechanism that leads to the third level. I don't want to stay here for long. As soon as Goei-Batsao finished speaking, the Arhat statues moved. Goei-Batsao was so frightened that it cried out, "It's over! It's over! They're going to gang up on the baby." Yun Chujio was completely speechless. Where was your usual arrogance? Why did you cower? Although Yun Chujio was cursing in her heart, she knew that the situation was critical. She quickly thought of a solution. Unexpectedly, the 18 Arhats only surrounded the Goei-Batsao in the middle and did not attack. Instead, they began to chant Buddhist scriptures. As they chanted, golden Sanskrit language overflowed and formed a huge golden lotus, enveloping the Goei-Batsao. The Sanskrit language was like a sharp arrow that rushed into the Goei-Bakeo's forehead. Goei-Batsao was delighted to see it. The Sanskrit language was probably trying to attack the smelly girl's spiritual sense, but now that the smelly girl's primordial spirit had left her body, it was useless for the Sanskrit language to rush into the smelly girl's forehead. As expected, after the Sanskrit language rushed into Yun Chujio's forehead, because there was no target to attack, it dissipated on its own. When Yun Chujio saw this, she could not help but be delighted. It seemed that her primordial spirit leaving her body still had many benefits, but even if she did not have her primordial spirit leaving her body, the Sanskrit language could not hurt her. Yun Chujio ignored the Goei-Batsao and began to search for a way to get to the third level. Yun Chujio quickly discovered a problem. The position of the 18 Arhats was actually the same as the Buddhist-like golden lotus formation that old monk Wang Su had used back then. Although the effect was slightly different, the principle was probably the same. Yun Chujio frowned slightly. Would she be able to leave the second level after breaking the 18 Arhats formation? Just as she was thinking, Goei-Batsao let out a scream. Chapter 53-23 Miserable Goei-Batsao. Yun Chujio's heart tightened. She quickly looked at Goei-Batsao and saw that the golden Sanskrit swords were no longer rushing towards Goei-Bakeo's glabella. Instead, they were shooting towards Goei-Bakeo's body. Although Goei-Batsao jumped up and down to dodge, there were still sharp swords shooting towards its body. Goei-Batsao cried loudly as it dodged, "Woo-woo, what kind of sin has this baby done? Why isn't it being cut into 1,000 pieces or thousands of arrows piercing through the heart?" It really wanted to abandon its so-called moral integrity and return to its dantian. However, it also thought that if it retreated to its dantian, it would lose face, but if this stinky girl's body was destroyed, it would have no place to stay. Thinking of this, it could only grit its teeth and endure. This guy could not help but feel a little emotional. When that stinky girl was struck by lightning, her meridians were broken, and the pain was much more severe than this, but that stinky girl endured it without saying a word. It had to be said that that wretched girl still had some redeeming qualities. Yun Chujio was not proficient in formations. Although she had seen Wang Su use the Buddhist-like golden lotus formation before, it was only limited to remembering the locations of the golden lotuses. However, she did not know how to break it. This fellow thought to himself, then he'll use the most stupid method. Goei-Batsao, if you move the position of one of the Arhat statues, this formation should be broken. Yun Chujio shouted at Goei-Batsao. Goei-Batsao was so angry that she shook her arm. That's easy for you to say. Do you think I can get close to those Arhat statues? Yun Chujio touched her nose. It made sense. Goei-Batsao could barely protect her vitals now, so she couldn't get close to any of the Arhat statues. What should she do? Goei-Batsao shouted, didn't you just slap that hidden reflection? Can you try to move the Arhat statue? If you can't move it, you'll die without a complete corpse. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. She floated to the cloth bag Arhat's side and reached out to move the Arhat statue. Unfortunately, her hands passed through the Arhat statue and did not move the Arhat statue at all. She was burning with anxiety and kept trying. She felt tired, but she still could not move the Arhat statue at all. Goei-Bakeo's screams were heard one after another. Goei-Batsao was also in pain and could not stop cursing. Fuck, it's really like a tiger being bullied by a dog. I'm so big, but I'm so aggrieved. I'm so angry. Stupid girl, you're a grand ghost ancestor, but you don't even know how to use your spiritual sense to attack, you trash. When you attack, you have to forget that you're an immortal soul. You trash. Think about how it was ever-changing in the ghost realm, you blockhead. When Yun Chujio heard Go Weiba words, she was naturally furious. However, her heart skipped a beat. Did she forget that she was a primordial spirit? She subconsciously raised her hand to push the cloth bag Arhat in front of her. She did not expect that she would actually push the cloth bag Arhat away. As the cloth bag arhat was pushed away, all the attacks came to an abrupt end. A stone staircase appeared on the roof. Goei Batsao sat on the ground, panting heavily. The human body was useless, and it was already exhausted after jumping for a short while. It suddenly remembered the words it had said to Yun Chujio, and could not help but tremble. It quickly said, little fairy, I had no choice just now. It was to stimulate your potential. It seems that this method is not bad. Aha. Chapter 53:24 Loneliness died? Yun Chujio knew that it was lying through its teeth, but she did not expose it. She only said lightly, okay, I got it. You rest for a while and we'll head to the third level. Goei Batsao felt a little uncomfortable when it saw that Yun Chujio did not scold it. This wretched girl must be thinking of settling the score after the autumn. How insidious. It recalled what it said just now and did not say anything extraordinary. It was slightly relieved. After Goei Batsao recovered some of its strength, it climbed up the stone stairs. However, when it reached the third level, it was stunned. The third level was empty. There was nothing. Even when it went up, the stone stairs that originally led to the second level disappeared. Goei Batsao initially thought that there would be an attack soon. However, 15 minutes, an hour, 4 hours, until the night passed, there were no signs of an attack. Could this be a prison? The people outside the tower had been waiting for the movement inside. However, when they saw that it was already the next morning and that Lone did not come out of the tower, their expressions became complicated. Yin Zhao snorted coldly, Lei Wu, didn't you say that Lone was not a demon? Then why didn't she come out? I didn't expect that your Zen sect would take in a demon as a disciple. She is indeed an ant. She doesn't even have the ability to differentiate. Master Liaowu tightened his hands under his wide sleeves. Compared to Yin Zhao's harsh words, he was more worried about Yun Chujio's safety inside the pagoda. Yin Zhao saw that Master Liaowu didn't say anything and provoked, What? Are you mute? Why aren't you saying anything? Master Liaowu couldn't take it anymore and said calmly, the light on the top of the tower hasn't been extinguished, which means that Lone is still alive. So it's still too early to say that she is a devil. Everyone looked at the top of the tower. Ever since the tower opened, a gentle light had lit up on the top of the tower. It hadn't been extinguished yet. Perhaps Lone was still alive? Master Xuanji sneered at the side and said, Master Liaowu, you are most likely wrong about one thing. If Lone was a demon, she might not have died immediately. Instead, she would have been trapped inside the pagoda. Now she is obviously trapped inside. She is a demon. Master Liaowu suddenly did not know what to say. He was also a little uncertain. Could it be that the little girl was also a demon like her parents? Seeing that Master Liaowu was rendered speechless by him, Xianji couldn't help but feel proud in his heart. The Zen sect actually had a demon disciple. He only needed to stir up a little bit in front of Yin Chang and the other two, and the Zen sect would be in big trouble. If that was the case, he didn't need to waste time to carry out the later plans. Thinking of this, Xianji said, Master Liaowu, I always thought that your Zen sect was a respectable sect. I didn't expect that you actually took in a demon, and it's even your disciple. Could it be that your Zen sect has other connections with the demon race? Master Liaowu was both angry and afraid. The best way now was to distance himself from the little monk Lonely, but he really couldn't open his mouth. However, if he allowed Xianji to sow discord, it might bring disaster to the Zen sect. What should he do? At this moment, someone exclaimed, Look! The light at the top of the tower is gone. Lonely is dead. Sect leader Liaowu looked at the top of the tower in disbelief. Sure enough, the light at the top of the tower had disappeared. His head buzzed. That little girl, the disciple who chased after him and called him master, was really dead. Chapter 53:25 was fate. Everyone's eyes fell on the top of the tower. Master Xuanji had said before that if the light at the top of the tower was extinguished, it meant that the people inside had died. The old ancestor of the Lan family trembled. For a moment he had mixed feelings. He had important plans for that troublemaker and now he was dead? He was disappointed that his plan had failed. He was angry at the Zen Buddhism sect and the 10,000 Buddhas temple. He was also somewhat disappointed and sad. He had thought that he would never experience such so-called sadness ever since all the Wang generation members of the Lan family had died. He did not expect that after the troublemaker, who was not related to him by blood, had died. He actually felt this kind of feeling again. When did the original use and control begin to be mixed with family affection? Was it when she smiled cheekily and flattered him? Was it when she was smart and quick-witted and obtained the first place in the family competition? Or did she rely on her own strength to bring everyone from the Lan family safely back to the Lan family? The Lan family's old ancestor forcefully suppressed this kind of emotion in the bottom of his heart. He was the head of the Lan family. He still wanted to take revenge. He also wanted to carry the Lan family forward. He could not help himself. The gloating expression on Master Xuanzi's face couldn't be hidden anymore. He said to Master Liaowu, "Master Liaowu, didn't you say that the light at the top of the pagoda doesn't extinguish, so it doesn't mean that Lone is a demon? Now you see it, right? The light at the top of the pagoda has been extinguished. This is enough to prove that Lone is a demon. You actually took a demon as your disciple. Tiske, are you blind, or are you an accomplice of the demon?" Upon hearing this, Yin Chang and the other two looked at Master Liaowu. Master Liaowu was so angry that he was trembling. He hated Xianji to the extreme. However, that little girl was already dead. It was meaningless to argue about whether she was a demon or not. Now he had to ensure that the Zen sect would not be implicated. Thinking of Yun Chujio, his heart moved. The person who had asked the Zen sect to lock up Yun Chujio's parents was also from the 10,000 Buddha Sacred Hall. Moreover, his level was obviously higher than Yin Chang and the other two. Therefore he put his palms together and said, "Amitba. Can the three masters speak further?" Yin Chang and the other two were very disdainful, but when they saw the solemn expression on Sect Master Wu's face, they still followed him to the side. After activating the isolation array for Sect Master Wu, they then said, "Master Liaowu and the other two, I wonder if you know Master Wu Lu?" Yin Chang and the other two were startled and said in a faint voice, "Of course we know him." "Master Wu Lu, our martial uncle, what do you mean by this?" Upon hearing this, Sect Master Liaowu heaved a sigh of relief and quickly said, Master Liaowu once came to our Zen sect and gave us a mission. Therefore, our Zen sect only follows the lead of the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall. We would never dare to have second thoughts and we would never dare to collude with the demon race." Yin Chang and the other two were skeptical. However, since their mission had been completed, there was no need to offend anyone. At most, they could find an opportunity to ask Martial Uncle Liaowu when they went back. Yin Chang snorted coldly. "Alright, I'll let your Zen sect off this time. If we find out that you colluded with the demon race, HMP." Master Hua Wu heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, the Zen sect had been saved, but it was a pity for that little girl. Alas, this was all fate. Yin Chang and the other two saw that the matter had been settled and were about to leave. Master Xuanji said eagerly, "Three masters, there are still 3 days before the grand scene of the Sea of Clouds and Buddhist Light. Why don't the three of you stay and let this penniless monk do his duty as a host?" Chapter 53:26. Buddhist Light of the Sea of Clouds. Yin Chang and the other two were a little tempted. The Buddhist Light of the Sea of Clouds could be said to be a once-in-1,000-year spectacle. It was not bad to stay and take a look. Seeing that the three were a little tempted, Master Xuanji quickly asked someone to arrange their accommodation. He was extremely attentive, so the three of them took the opportunity to agree. Originally, Master Liaowu and the other two had wanted to leave because they were in a bad mood. However, now that Yin Chang and the other two had stayed, they naturally could not bid farewell. They could only bite the bullet and stay. Xianji's heart was filled with joy. Compared to having a relationship with the Divine Devil Hall, he was naturally more willing to curry favor with the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall. If he had a good relationship with the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall, his ascension might be just around the corner. Therefore he had originally planned to kill the members of the Zen sect, but he decided to wait for Yin Chang and the other two to leave. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this morning before the sun rose, Master Xuanji and the other two had already accompanied Yin Chang and the other two to the highest peak of the Bitter Zen sect, Sun Viewing Peak. Master Xuanji and the other two, when the sun rises, the Sea of Clouds and Buddhist Light will appear, Master Xuanji said politely. Yin Zhao asked curiously, what exactly does the Buddhist light look like? A Buddha with a golden halo will appear above the Sea of Clouds. The Buddha's face can be clearly seen. It's really a blessing for the Buddhist sect, Xianji said with some self-satisfaction. Yin Chang and the other two heard this and became even more interested. If they could really see it, it would be a good topic to talk about when they returned. Master Liaowu and the Lan family's ancestor had indifferent expressions. Although several days had passed and they had already accepted the fact that Yun Chujio was dead, their mood was still somewhat depressed. As time passed, the sun slowly rose from the east. At this moment someone exclaimed, "Quick, look! Buddha's light! Buddha's light! Oh my god, it's actually 7-colored Buddha's light. It's even rarer than the golden Buddha's light I saw before. It's really 7-colored Buddha's light. Oh my God, I never thought that I would be able to see seven-colored Buddha's light in my lifetime. It's simply like smoke coming from the ancestral grave. As seven-colored Buddha's light was too rare, the crowd couldn't care less about whether they would offend Yin Chang and the other two and started shouting excitedly. Yin Chang and the other two weren't in the mood to argue with the crowd. It was also their first time seeing the seven-colored Buddhist light. Xianji rolled his eyes. He fawned, "Masters, this sea of clouds Buddhist light was originally golden, but now it has turned into the seven-colored Buddhist light. It must be because the three masters have a deep affinity with Buddhism that we are fortunate enough to see such a wonderful scene." Yin Chang and the other two knew that Xianji was flattering them, but they still revealed a satisfied smile. Moreover, they also felt that Xianji might be right. The reason why the golden Buddhist light turned into a seven-colored Buddhist light was because of their arrival. The three of them could not help but feel excited and hurriedly knelt on the ground. Once the three of them knelt, the rest naturally could not stand and also knelt on the ground. As time passed, the scene in the distance became more and more magnified and clearer. Even the face of the Buddha statue could be seen clearly. Suddenly someone exclaimed in disbelief, "Heavens, heavens, that Buddha's face, why is it exactly the same as that lonely?" The people did not pay too much attention to it before, and because of the distance they did not see it clearly. Now that they heard that person's exclamation and looked carefully, they were all dumbfounded. They saw that the Buddha's face was actually exactly the same as the dead loneliness. How was this possible? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:27. Lone was alive again at this moment. Someone slapped his thigh and said, "I heard that Lone is the reincarnation of the son of Buddha. Could it be that what he said is true?" "Yes, I've heard of it too. If he is the reincarnation of the son of Buddha, then it makes sense." "But isn't he already dead?" "What do you mean dead? Since he is the reincarnation of the son of Buddha, then he has returned to his golden body." The more Yin Chang and the other two listened, the uglier their expressions became. They were confused, shocked, and a little terrified. If that Lone was really the reincarnation of the so-called Buddha and they had forced the Buddha to die, wouldn't they be punished by the heavens? The three of them immediately stood up. The others were intimidated by the pressure they were emitting and shut their mouths in embarrassment. The three of them stared at the Buddha's face that was getting clearer and clearer. It was indeed exactly the same as that Lone. However, the originally peaceful gaze of the Buddha had become cold and solemn, causing the three of them to feel even more terrified. The others also noticed the change in the gaze of the Buddha statue. The people who had originally stood up knelt on the ground once again. They did not dare to say anything as they silently chanted in their hearts, "Little Lone Buddha, this has nothing to do with us. If you want to take revenge, go look for those three monks from the 10,000 Buddha Sacred Hall and that Xianji." Xianji's legs were also somewhat weak. He had often done some immoral things. As the saying went, a guilty conscience. Under the light of Buddha, he could not help but break out in cold sweat. Of course, the feelings of Master Liaowu and the Lan family's patriarch were, well, a little subtle. They knew that Lone was not a Buddha at all. He was not even a monk. Then what was going on with this light of Buddha? Could it be that the little girl was not dead? But how did she manage to control such a strange scene? This was too unbelievable. Master Liaowu pinched himself hard. After confirming that this was not an illusion, his nose could not help but feel a little sore. It was great that the little girl was not dead. The Lan family's patriarch slowly closed his eyes and slowly opened them. He had said that disasters would last for 1,000 years. That troublemaker would not die so easily. As time passed, the Buddhist light gradually faded until it disappeared. There was a dead silence on Sun Viewing Peak. Yin Chang and the other two's expressions were very ugly. They ignored Master Xuanji and walked down the mountain. Master Xuanji was frightened and uneasy. He didn't care about pleasing Yin Chang and the other two. He followed behind them silently. Before they reached the meeting hall, a disciple of the Bitter Zen sect came to report in panic, Master, that Lone. Xianji suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart. He shouted, "What's wrong with Lone? Isn't he dead?" "No, he's alive again. Not only is he alive, but he's also sitting on the top of the Devil Refining Pagoda, asking you to go over and apologize." Everyone was stunned when they heard his words and then exploded. "Oh my God, that Lone isn't dead? Could it be that the Buddhist light that appeared earlier revived him? It's possible. How else did he come out of the Devil Refining Pagoda? And he's sitting on the top of the pagoda? He's the reincarnation of a Buddha. Naturally, he won't die so easily. This time, Master Xuanji will be in big trouble." Xianji broke out in cold sweat. If it wasn't for the Buddhist light, he might not have believed the news of the reincarnation of a Buddha. But just now, he saw with his own eyes that Lone was inside the seven-colored Buddhist light. How could he not believe it? Yin Chang and the other two's expressions changed too. Could it be that Lone was really the reincarnation of the Buddha? Then would he punish them too? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:28 Didn't you see this penniless monk's Dharma idol? Master Liaowu and the Lan family's ancestor were naturally very happy. It seemed that the troublemaker really didn't die. However, it wasn't good to be too obvious, so the two could only suppress the joy in their hearts and prepare to see what that troublemaker wanted to do next. Xianji didn't want to go, but he couldn't not go either. He could only look at Yin Chang and the other two with a bitter face. Three masters, what do you think? Yin Chang said with a cold face, let's go and take a look. Hearing that, Xianji felt a little more at ease. He accompanied everyone to the devil refining pagoda. From afar, everyone saw a small monk sitting on the top of the pagoda. It was Lonely Small Monk. He was sitting cross-legged with a Buddha bead in his hand. The sunlight happened to cover his back with a layer of halo, making people involuntarily associate him with the Buddha statue that appeared in the light. Everyone's knees suddenly felt weak and they had the urge to kneel down. Xianji wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and took 2 steps forward. He said with a fierce expression, Lone, why are you sitting on the top of the pagoda? Come down quickly. The little monk Lone slowly opened his eyes and looked at Xianji with his bright eyes. He said indifferently, Buddha enlightened this penniless monk in his dream. You have committed heinous crimes, and you are not worthy to be the sect master of the bitter Zen sect. You have already broken the lust rule. You have imprisoned several women as furnaces and cauldrons. You are truly a scum of the Buddhist sect. Xianji's head buzzed when he heard this. He roared angrily out of embarrassment, Lonely, you are full of nonsense. You devil, you must have used some secret technique to escape from the devil refining pagoda. The lonely monk said indifferently, Devil? This penniless monk is the reincarnation of a Buddha. Buddha told this penniless monk in his dream that this penniless monk's Dharma idol would appear in the sea of clouds this morning. Didn't you see it? Everyone immediately burst into a clamor when they heard that. Heavens, just as they thought, why did the light of Buddha suddenly appear? It turned out that it was the enlightenment of Buddha. It seemed that Lonely was really the reincarnation of a Buddha. If Lonely was the reincarnation of a Buddha, then what he said was true. Did Xianji really imprison a woman as a furnace? Nonsense, you are talking nonsense. You must have used some unspeakable means. It must be so. Men, take him down. Xianji shouted fiercely. Yun Chujio laughed lightly. Xian Hui, Buddha enlightened me in my dream. He said that although you are a little narrow-minded, you are at least much stronger than this Xianji. Take your men to search now. If you find evidence, the sect leader of the bitter Zen sect will be yours. Xian Hui was stunned on the spot. He had always wanted to replace Xianji, but his skills were not as good as Xianji's, so he could only reluctantly submit to others. Now, after hearing Yun Chuji's words, he was ecstatic. He naturally knew that Xianji used a woman as a cauldron. After all, he had many spies. No matter how careful Xianji was, he would still leave traces. However, should he take this risk? Just as he was hesitating, he heard Lonely Little Monk sigh. Xian Hui, isn't this what you wished for in front of Buddha? Are you lying to Buddha? Xian Hui trembled. It seemed that Lonely was telling the truth. Otherwise, how would he know that he had prayed for this matter in front of Buddha? As Xian Hui was thinking, he caught a glimpse of Xianji's cold gaze. His heart sank. Xianji already hated him. If he was not eliminated, there would be endless trouble in the future. Moreover, the sect master of the bitter Zen sect should be changed. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:29 Long-browed Arhat. Thinking of this, Xian Hui said sternly, It's a different matter if the sect leader doesn't want to be the sect leader. Our bitter Zen sect absolutely won't allow anyone to borrow furnaces and cauldrons to cultivate. Senior brother Xianji, will bring some people to search right now. If we can't find anything, then it means that this lonely demon is misleading the masses and his heart should be punished. However, if we really find the so-called furnace and cauldron, then I, Xian Hui, can only do justice to my family. Xianji's head was buzzing. If he really let Xian Hui search the place, not to mention the position of sect leader, his life would be lost. Therefore he could not let Xian Hui search the place no matter what. He shouted sternly, Xian Hui, are you crazy? Just because of a few words from this lonely demon you suspect me? It would have been better if he had not said me. When Xian Hui heard these 2 words, she became even more jealous. All these years he had been suppressed by this Shenji and suffered a lot of cowardice. Today was a great opportunity. He definitely could not miss it. He said with a fake smile, "Senior brother, since you admit your innocence, why can't I search you? This is also to prove your innocence." Xianji was furious. He knew that it was useless to say more. He had to think of another way. He turned his eyes to Yin Chang and the other 2. As long as they gave the order, Xian Hui would not dare to search them even if she had ulterior motives. When the matter was over, he would think of a way to get rid of Xian Hui. Therefore he pleaded, "Masters, this penniless monk is really wronged. That lone is clearly trying to sow discord and want our bitter Zen sect to kill each other. Moreover, the Thousand-Eye Jin demon array has been triggered, which means that this lone is definitely a demon. She might be a high-level demon, which is why she has such means. Please help this penniless monk." Yin Chang and the other 2 were not stupid. They had already determined that Xianji must have used a woman as a cultivation cauldron. However, this had nothing to do with them. However, was this lone the reincarnation of the son of Buddha? Should they kill him? Although the Sea of Clouds Buddhist light had convinced them a little, they still had doubts in their hearts. If Lone was the reincarnation of the son of Buddha, logically speaking, his temperament and aptitude should be very high. Why did his cultivation go wrong? Did he lose all his cultivation? Moreover, they thought highly of themselves and looked down on the people of the Chongshao continent. They felt that even if there was a reincarnation of the son of Buddha, he should appear in the divine enlightenment continent and not the Chongshao continent. Thinking of this, Yin Chang said coldly, "Lonesome, you said that you are the reincarnation of the Buddha. Do you have any other evidence besides the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds?" Yun Chujio said indifferently, as expected of Buddha, he predicted that someone would suspect my identity, so he gave me something. What is it? Buddha told me that there was once a master of delusion in the bitter Zen sect who passed away many years ago. He was one of the 18 arhats under the Buddha, the long-browed arhat. Therefore when he passed away he left behind a relic. The Buddha told me to give this relic to the bitter Zen sect and let them offer it as a sacrifice. Amitabha. The lonely little monk put his palms together and had a merciful expression on his face. The moment the lonely little monk said those words, the people of the bitter Zen sect immediately went into an uproar. They naturally knew about Master of Delusion. He was one of their founding fathers, but they did not know where he ended up. According to the records, the eyebrows of the great master of false pretense were indeed longer than ordinary people. They did not expect him to be a long-browed arhat. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5330 The Third Tribulation. Yin Chang and the other 2 heard the discussion of the people from the bitter Zen sect and knew that the master of delusion that Yun Chujio mentioned was indeed a real person. They could not help but feel their hearts pounding. Could it be that this loneliness was really the reincarnation of the Buddha? Xianji's clothes were already soaked in sweat. He forced himself to remain calm and said, "Where is the relic you mentioned?" Yun Chujio sighed. There are 3 bodies of the Buddha. The Dharma body, the incarnation, and the incarnation. Buddha has enlightened me. This penniless monk has to go through 3 tribulations in order to recover my cultivation. When this penniless monk cultivated, his Buddha energy was sealed. According to Buddha, this is one of the tribulations. When you imprison me in the refined devil pagoda, this is the second of the tribulations. There is another tribulation which should be a water tribulation. Only by washing away the remaining filth in the refined devil pagoda can I recover my cultivation and take out the relic. Everyone was stunned by the words of the lonely little monk. This was too profound. They could not understand it. However, they understood the last sentence. It meant that one had to face the water calamity to recover their cultivation and take out the relic. Xian Hui could not wait to prove that Yun Chujio was the reincarnation of a Buddha. Although there was a grudge between them, it was nothing compared to the position of the sect leader. Therefore he quickly said, "Water calamity? Isn't that simple? I will order someone to pour water on you." Yun Chujio slowly shook her head. No, the water of the secular world cannot wash away the filth of the refined devil pagoda. It must be Buddhist holy water. This penniless monk must stay in the soul consolidation spring for 3 days and 3 nights. Upon hearing that, Xianji immediately roared, "You have finally revealed your fox tail. You just want to enter the soul consolidation spring. You devil, perhaps your primordial spirit is unstable so you want to use the soul consolidation spring to heal your injuries. Yin Chang and the other two immediately frowned and looked at Lonely Little Monk suspiciously. Lonely Little Monk chuckled and said, "You'll see what's in your heart. Xianji, you no longer have the slightest bit of Buddha's heart. The reason why I requested to enter the soul consolidation spring was to get through the 3 tribulations as soon as possible, and then take out Master Delusion's relic to save all living beings. If I'm a devil, how can I safely escape from the demon refining pagoda? If I'm a demon, how can I display my Dharma idol in the sea of clouds? If I'm a demon, why do I have the relic of Master Delusion? Forget it, if Xianhui can't find the women you imprisoned, it'll bear the name you gave me. Amibai, if I don't go to hell, who will?" Everyone looked at the ferocious-looking Xianji, then looked at the sorrowful-looking Lonely Little Monk, and naturally made a judgment in their hearts. Although Yin Chang and the other two still had a trace of doubt, they still believed more than half of it. They didn't care about Xianji's life or death. They were anxious to prove whether Lonely was a Buddha or not. Therefore Yin Chang said, "Xianji, immediately arrange for this Lonely to enter the soul consolidation spring. If she can't take out the fake relic 3 days later, I will naturally seek justice for you." Xianji gnashed his teeth in hatred, but he didn't dare to disobey. Moreover, it would be terrible if Xianhui really went to search the place. Therefore he could only grit his teeth and agree to the Lonely Little Monk's request. However, after waiting for a long time, Lonely Little Monk still didn't come down from the top of the pagoda. There was no other reason. He had been acting tough for too long. Goei Batsao, his legs were numb. Hei Xinjiu, who was floating in the air, rolled her eyes when she saw his stupid look and taught him a few words. Thereupon, Lonely Little Monk said indifferently, "I have to enter the soul consolidation spring in this posture. Therefore you can send someone to carry me into the soul consolidation spring." No one doubted him. They immediately carried Lonely Little Monk onto a wooden board and carried him to the soul consolidation spring. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53:31 The moon in the mirror. Goei Batsao pretended to sit on the wooden board and heaved a sigh of relief. The stinky girl was finally going to return to her primordial spirit. Pretending to be a monk was really not something that could be done by grass. It was too damn difficult. She was finally going to reach the end. The moment this guy thought that after Yun Chujia's primordial spirit returned to her body, he would be able to see Xiao Mogu, he immediately became elated. It had to be said that this stupid girl was really smart. With just a little trick, she was cleared of the suspicion of the demon race. She even got the chance to enter the soul consolidation spring and even alienated Xianji and Xianhui. It could be imagined that the bitter Zen sect would soon fall into turmoil. She really deserved it. At that time, Goei Batsao and Hei Xinjiu were stunned when they realized that there was nothing on the 3rd level of the devil refining pagoda. After searching for a few rounds, they found nothing except for the walls of the pagoda. Goei Batsao opened its mouth and began to howl. It's over, we're going to die in here. I haven't achieved anything yet, and I haven't let my reputation of Goei Batsao spread far and wide. My life is so miserable." Yun Chujio was annoyed by its howl. She shouted, "Shut up. If you don't shut up, you'll never see Xiao Mogu again." Yun Chujia's move worked every time. As expected, Goei Batsao immediately covered her mouth with her hand and stopped howling. Yun Chujio was not in a good mood either. She did not want to be trapped here, but there was nothing on the 3rd level. How could she get out? If her primordial spirit had not left her body, she could have used the kitchen knife to cut a door out. But what should she do now? Soon 2 days had passed. The man in the grass still could not think of a solution. Fortunately, Goei Batsao could secrete juice, so Yun Chujio would not starve to death. Goei Batsao boasted, "Did you see that? If it were not for me, you would definitely be dead." Yun Chujio could not be bothered with it. She was thinking about how to get out of it. Goei Batsao saw that Yun Chujio didn't say anything and became even more smug. "Don't scold me all the time in the future. Look at how useful I am. Without me, how can you be immune to all poisons? Without me, who will help you absorb the heavenly lightning? Without me, who will help you summon a demon beast? Without me, who will help you repair your meridians? Without me, who will provide you with food? Without me, who would help you scout the enemy? Without me, who would help you torture the scum?" The more Goei Batsao talked, the more smug he became. He almost admired himself. Who could compare to it? That ugly bird that was as fat as a ball? That butt face that only knew how to kiss a dog? That ugly broken candle? Not to mention that Hun Dun who treated a cuckold as a good thing. The throne of the #1 spirit pet would belong to him. So, you can't be fooled by that idiot buttface's flowery words. What he said is just like the moon in the mirror. He's just a trash who only knows how to play with his mouth. What did you say just now? Yun Chujio suddenly interrupted Gowei Bakeo's words. Gowei Batsao was stunned. I said that I'm very useful. I can help you summon a demon beast. That's not it. What did you say just now? I said don't be fooled by buttface's flowery words. Continue? Gowei Batsao was delighted. Did the stupid girl listen to what it said? Was that idiot buttface about to fall out of favor? It quickly said, I said what it said was the moon in the mirror. Yun Chujio immediately repeated, moon in the water in the mirror, moon in the water in the mirror, moon in the water in the mirror. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:32. What the hell? Gowei Batsao saw Yun Chujio repeatedly muttering moon in the mirror, and could not help but feel a little confused. Has this stupid girl gone mad? Just when Gowei Batsao was a little confused, she saw Yun Chujio sitting cross-legged and closing her eyes. Gowei Batsao was even more confused now. It was just complaining. Why did it make the stupid girl crazy? Why was it meditating? Hey, what's wrong with you? Are you really crazy? Gowei Batsao shouted. Unfortunately, Yun Chujio didn't even lift her eyelids, let alone pay attention to it. Gowei Batsao shouted a few more words, but seeing that Yun Chujio still didn't pay attention to it, it simply lay on the ground feeling very tired. At this time Yun Chujio opened her eyes and said calmly, Go Weiba, I understand. Emptiness is color, color is emptiness, everything is emptiness, everything is like the moon in the mirror. Gowei Batsao blinked its eyes and said, Listen, no? Understand. Yun Chujio explained, what we see may not be true. This place may seem empty but it doesn't mean there is nothing. It's just that we are blinded by our own eyes. Joyu Weiba said weakly, About that I still don't understand. Just tell me how we can get out of here. Yun Chujio looked at Gowei Batsao speechlessly. It made sense. No matter how scheming one was, it was still a piece of grass. Close your eyes and let your mind go blank. Don't think about anything. When you open your eyes again you will understand what I'm saying. Yun Chujio said lightly. Gowei Batsao was skeptical. It felt that Yun Chujio was most likely crazy. However, it still closed its eyes. A moment later, it opened its eyes and found that the scene in front of it had not changed at all. Yun Chujio shook her head. You have distracting thoughts. Start again. Go Weiba had no choice but to close its eyes again. After a while, when it opened its eyes again, there was still no change. Again? Gowei Batsao reluctantly closed its eyes again. Gowei Batsao tried more than 10 times but there was still no effect. It was a little annoyed. I think you are talking nonsense. There is clearly nothing here except for the wall. I don't want to try any more. If you are willing to try you can try it yourself. Yun Chujio looked at it coldly. If it wasn't for my primordial spirit leaving my body, would I still need a waste like you? If you want to be trapped here you can go back on your words. Gowei Batsao saw that Yun Chujio's tone was unprecedentedly serious, and it immediately cowered. It said embarrassedly, I'm just saying. I still have to try. Yun Chujio did not expose it. Instead she said, you must have no distracting thoughts. You even have to forget that you are a grass and integrate yourself into this world. Gowei Batsao felt that these words were somewhat familiar. Previously, when it taught Yun Chujio to use her spiritual sense to attack, it seemed to say something similar to these words. This fellow immediately became enlightened. He immediately sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. A moment later, Gowei Batsao opened its eyes. Its eyes were pure and ethereal, and there was a faint ancient aura lingering around its body. Yun Chujio could not help but have a thought. What was the origin of this Gowei Batsao? Just as she was thinking about it, she heard the Gowei Batsao shouting, What the hell? What the hell? Why are we still on the first floor? Didn't we reach the third floor? I don't want to be cut into 1,000 pieces. If I knew this would happen, I would rather stay on the third floor. Yun Chujio looked speechlessly at the jumping Gowei Batsao and immediately forgot about her previous thoughts. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:33 Origin of Buddhist Light. Gowei Batsao hopped around for a while and only calmed down when it realized that there was no golden light attacking it. The fellow looked around suspiciously and realized that although there was no change to the Buddha statue, the surrounding walls of the pagoda were made of glass and were transparent. It could even see the flowers, plants, and trees outside, and even the eyelashes of the disciples of the bitter Zen sect guarding the pagoda. This guy rushed to the front of the glazed wall and kept slapping the wall of the glazed pagoda. He shouted and gestured toward the outside, but the guards outside didn't respond at all. Stop messing around. What the people outside see is nothing more than an ordinary pagoda, Yun Chujio said lightly. Goei Batsao felt that its brain was not enough. With the principle of asking shamelessly, it asked flatteringly, "Little fairy, what on earth is going on?" "Everything I see is an illusion," Yun Chujio said calmly. Goei Batsao, "Are you bullying me because I'm uncultured? What nonsense are you talking about? Forget it, it's just like an illusion formation. What's the point of being arrogant? Even if we can see the actual scene now, how are we going to get out?" Goei Batsao asked snappily. Yun Chujio pointed at the little finger on the right hand of the Buddha statue. "Just like before, press that lotus petal and we can leave this place." Goei Batsao wanted to press the lotus petal immediately, but Yun Chujio stopped her. "Wait. I suddenly thought of something." Goei Batsao rolled her eyes. "What is more important than getting out?" Yun Chujio curled the corner of her mouth. "Don't you think that this glazed wall should have other uses? It just looks better. What other uses can it have?" Goei Batsao said disdainfully. It felt that Yun Chujio's mind was constantly changing. What other uses could this broken glass have? Yun Chujio said with a faint smile, "A flower in the mirror, a moon in the water." Goei Batsao was even more dumbfounded. It felt that ever since this wretched girl had taken on the persona of the lonely little monk, she had not been speaking in human language because it could not understand. Yun Chujio continued, "Tomorrow morning, there will be a magnificent scene of the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds. Tell me, if this face of mine appears above the Sea of Clouds, wouldn't it be very interesting?" Goei Batsao, "Interesting? Are you crazy?" The Buddha's light in the Sea of Clouds was a magnificent scene of Buddhism. It must be a Buddha statue. How could it be her face? Yun Chujio was too lazy to explain to Goei Batsao about the diffraction and diffuse reflection of light and the principle of mirage. The only problem she had to solve now was how to turn the Buddha statue's face into her own. This guy soon discovered that when the sun shone in, the image of the Buddha statue would appear on one of the walls of the tower. This guy began to try all kinds of angles. Finally, he found a specific angle that could cover his face on the Buddha statue's face. Goei Batsao was dumbfounded, but he was still skeptical that this thing could appear in the Sea of Clouds. However, it still cooperated with Yun Chujio to complete the scene in the morning. As for why the golden Buddhist light turned into the seven-colored Buddhist light, cough, cough, Goei Batsao had slapped the glazed wall many times before, and there were many dirty handprints on it. By accident, the seven-colored Buddhist light appeared. Yun Chujio estimated that it was almost time, so she let Goei Batsao press the lotus petal of the Buddha statue, and then the man and the grass appeared on the top of the tower. Fortunately, there was a huge bead on the top of the tower. Sitting on it would not prick one's butt. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-34 Soul Strengthening Spring. Yun Chujio immediately understood the purpose of this bead. It should also be used to reflect the sun's rays. This pagoda was indeed very exquisite. When the guards saw Goei Batsao, they quickly went to report it. Yun Chujio took the opportunity to teach Goei Batsao the explanation she had given earlier. Goei Batsao recalled what had just happened and could not help but feel a little smug. Its acting skills were getting better and better. Even it had to admire itself. At this time, everyone had already arrived at the Soul Consolidation Spring. Although they were only at the side of the Soul Consolidation Spring, everyone felt refreshed. It seemed that this Soul Consolidation Spring lived up to its reputation. Goei Batsao followed what Yun Chujio had taught it and said indifferently, "Amitba. You can directly put this penniless monk into the Soul Consolidation Spring. 3 days later, this penniless monk will definitely hand over Master Wangzu's relic." A trace of killing intent flashed in Xianji's eyes. That loan had not calculated anything. Although the soul-strengthening spring was just a spring, the pool was very deep. This loan had already lost his cultivation. He might be drowned inside. The monks carrying Yun Chujio were all Xianji's confidants. When they saw his eyes, they immediately understood what he meant. They deliberately placed the little lone monk in the deepest part of the pool and removed the wooden board. Lonely Monk's body quickly sank and soon disappeared. Master Liaowu was about to go in to save him when Xianji sneered, "Master Liaowu, don't worry. Since Lonely is the reincarnation of a Buddha, and he has to go through the water calamity, it's better for others not to interfere." Master Liaowu was about to refute, but he was frightened by Yin Chang's fierce gaze and didn't dare to speak. Yin Chang naturally would not allow Master Liaowu to go in and save him. He wanted to see if this lone was a real or fake Buddha. Anyway, the vicinity of the soul-strengthening spring was conducive to cultivation. Therefore, Yin Chang and the other two directly meditated on the spot, actually wanting to stay and watch. Master Liaowu's heart instantly turned cold. He could only pray in his heart that Yun Chujio would be safe and sound. At this time, Gowei Batsao had already sunk to the bottom of the water. This fellow kept moving his stiff arms and legs. In any case, he was at the bottom of the water and the people on top couldn't see him. As for the possibility of drowning, it didn't exist at all. Although the water-repellent bead was in the storage ring and couldn't be taken out, Gowei Bakao's water nature was quite good. Even if it possessed Yun Chujio's body, it could still stay in the water for a while. It was almost done with its activities before it resurfaced. Its feet stepped on the water, exposing its upper body above the water. Moreover, it kept its palms together. When it was tired, it would dive into the water again. As for Hei Xinjiu, who was floating, she was not afraid of the water. She swam around the pool, and when she saw the spring, her heart moved slightly. The diameter of the spring was very large, enough for one person to pass through. She blinked her eyes. If there were no people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall here, she could always use the identity of the lonely little Buddha to save all living beings. But now that Yin Chang and the other two had seen her, after returning to the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, perhaps the people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall would have other thoughts and harm her. She wasn't afraid of anything else. The main reason was that she was afraid of being exposed. Therefore, it was best for her to achieve her goal and dying in front of Yin Chang and the other two. That way there wouldn't be any future troubles. This fellow looked at the spring and instantly had a good idea of escaping death. However, he still needed to come up with more plans. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-35 Return of the Primordial Spirit. As time passed, Yun Chujio realized that the distance between her and Gowei Batsao was getting closer and closer. She knew that she would be able to return to her primordial spirit very soon. Gowei Batsao also realized this. If it weren't for the fact that it was afraid of being exposed, this fellow would have wanted to cry out loud. It was too fucking difficult. These days were simply not grass-like days. Although it could eat an unlimited amount of herbs at the beginning and read the script happily, but since it became a lonely little monk, it was worse than death. After 2 days and 2 nights, Yun Chujio's primordial spirit finally entered her body. She mentioned 3 days and 3 nights previously, firstly to stabilize her primordial spirit so that there would be no side effects, and secondly to stall for time to think of a way to escape death. Although Yun Chujio's primordial spirit had returned to her body, she didn't activate the string of Buddha beads that were used to disguise her Buddhist power. Moreover, she concealed her cultivation so the people on the shore couldn't see any flaws. After she activated the water-repellent bead, she dived into the water again. The people on the shore were already used to it. She dived into the water from time to time, so no one doubted her. After Yun Chujio reached the bottom of the water, she released the Gowei Batsao and deliberately made the Gowei Batsao appear in its smallest form so that no one would notice her. Gowei Batsao, go along the spring and see where the spring leads to, Yun Chujio reminded. Gowei Batsao immediately entered the spring. It happily waved its leaves and felt that it was more comfortable to make grass. Gowei Batsao soon returned, but it and Yun Chujio soon discovered a problem. One person and one grass could not communicate. Fortunately, Yun Chujio had the water-repellent bead. After isolating the spring water, she took out a brush, ink, paper and inkstone, and let Gowei Batsao draw what it saw. Yun Chujio saw what Gowei Batsao drew, and her eyes immediately lit up. She was right. The bottom of the soul-strengthening spring led to the underground river. Although Gowei Batsao did not explore the final exit of the underground river, the nearest river near the Bitter Zen sect was the Jade Belt River, which was 300 li away. The exit must be there. The Jade Belt River had already left the territory of the Zen of Bitterness. She would be able to escape smoothly then. This fellow checked her body and primordial spirit's condition again. Seeing that there was nothing abnormal, she activated the Buddha bead. The people on the bank had been observing little monk Lonely's condition. Now that she had recovered her cultivation, they could not help but exclaim in surprise. Yin Chang and the other two also looked at the little monk Lonesome. When they saw that she was only at the 9th stage of the Yellow Buddha Lotus realm, they couldn't help but show disdain in their eyes. Wasn't this so-called Buddha's cultivation too low? In order to show off, Yun Chujio activated the water-repellent bead. Then, she sat cross-legged on the surface of the water, causing the crowd to exclaim in surprise. Yun Chujio slowly opened her eyes. A relic glowing with a lustrous glow appeared in her right palm. Yin Chang and the other two narrowed their eyes. They could naturally tell that this relic was unusual. It was definitely a relic that only eminent monks could have, and it was very old. It seemed that this lone was really a Buddha. Otherwise, how could he have such a relic? Yun Chujio waved at Xian Hui. Xian Hui, this penniless monk's 3 tribulations have not been completed yet, so I can't leave the soul consolidation spring for the time being. Come and take the relic away and then go search for those women. Amitabha. It's a sin for Buddhism to have a scum like Xian Ji. Xian Hui didn't have any objection to Yun Chujio's act of summoning a puppy. She went into the pool and took the saraira. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-36 Killing Lone Xian Hui understood in his heart that with this relic and the evidence of Xian Ji using the furnace and cauldron to cultivate, this sect master would be his. Therefore, he now found little monk Lone particularly pleasing to the eye. As for his dead disciple Yuan Guang, since he had committed suicide, he could not be blamed for Lone's death. He was a reasonable and accomplished monk, so naturally he would not vent his anger on others. Xian Hui held the saraira and walked out of the soul-strengthening spring. With a fake smile, she said to Xian Ji, "Senior brother, now that little Buddha Lone has handed over the saraira, junior brother can only send people to search it. Anyway, senior brother, you said that there are no dirty matters, so you shouldn't be afraid of me bringing people to search it, right?" Xian Ji's face was livid, and the veins on his forehead were popping out. If it weren't for the presence of other people, he would have rushed forward and slapped Xian Hui to death. The moment Yun Chujio took out the relic, he knew that things were going to be bad. The only way to break out of this predicament was to kill Lone. As long as Lone died, he could argue that Lone was a demon and that everything he said was nonsense. In any case, the dead would not refute him. As for Xian Hui, he was a brainless person. He could easily deal with him with a few tricks. When Xian Ji thought of this, he suddenly raised his hand and a huge red Buddha lotus appeared in front of everyone. The red petals turned into sharp arrows and shot towards Lone, who was floating on the surface of the water. As Xian Ji's attack was too sudden, Master Liaowu and the others did not have the time to stop him. Even Yin Chang and the other two didn't expect Xian Ji to make a sudden move. If they joined hands they could protect Lonely Monk, but they didn't plan to do so. They didn't want to confirm the identity of Lonely Buddha. It would be good if Xian Ji killed him. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up when she saw Xian Ji making a move. Very good, Xian Ji didn't disappoint her and used his attack to escape. Ah, Xian Ji. With a scream, Lonely Little Monk sank to the bottom of the water, and the surface of the water quickly turned red. At this time, Master Liaowu, the Lan family's ancestor, and Xian Hui had already joined hands to attack Xian Ji. After using the red lotus to protect himself, Xian Ji retreated to the vicinity of Yin Chang and the other two. Master Liaowu and the other two didn't dare to attack him, so they could only stop. Master Liaowu was so angry that he was trembling. "Why do you want to harm Lone?" Xian Ji snorted coldly. Lone is obviously a demon, yet he deliberately played tricks to sow discord. He deserves to die. Moreover, if he really was a Buddha, how could he die so easily? So, what he used before was just a camouflage. Xian Hui stretched his neck and roared, "Then how do you explain Master Liaowu's relic? Could it also be a camouflage?" Master Wang Zu's whereabouts were unknown at that time. Perhaps he was killed by the demon race. That's why that Lone had Master Wang Zu's relic. This just proves that he is from the demon race, Xian Ji sneered. Xian Hui was not as good at arguing as Xian Ji, so she did not know how to refute him. Xian Ji's eyes flashed with pride. He could see that Yin Chang and the other two did not want to confirm Lone's identity as a Buddha. With the three of them making the decision, Xian Hui would not be able to make any waves. He said, "Masters, the three of you have seen what happened. I have already killed Lone. He is not a Buddha but a demon with ulterior motives. Otherwise he would not have been killed so easily by me." Yin Chang and the other two looked at each other. Yin Chang was about to agree with Xian Ji when he heard the crowd exclaiming. He looked up and saw several lotus flowers blooming on the surface of the water. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53-37 continued. Everyone could not believe their eyes. They rubbed their eyes and realized that it was real. Those were the legendary Buddhist lotuses that were lost. And there were 9 of them. Just as everyone was in shock, an ethereal voice sounded, "The son of Buddha has returned, Xianji deserves to be killed. If Xianji is not eliminated, he will bring chaos to the world. Everyone waited for a moment, but the voice did not sound again. The Buddhist lotuses disappeared in front of everyone in an instant, leaving only the fragrance of the Buddhist lotuses lingering around. Xian Hui was the first to react. Amitabha, no wonder the lotus flowers appeared. It turns out that the son of Buddha has returned. Xianji, you actually slandered the son of Buddha as a devil and even killed him. You deserve to die. Xianji's legs were a little weak. Even though he initially did not believe it, the scene just now really made him have no choice but to believe it. Could it be that Lone was really the son of Buddha? If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have provoked him. It was really too late to regret. Yin Chang and the other two obviously believed more than half of it. Putting everything else aside, this lotus was genuine. If Lone wasn't the son of Buddha, where did he get the lotus? However, to be on the safe side, Yin Chang gave Yin Zhao a look. Yin Zhao immediately understood and jumped into the pool. Soon, he reached the surface of the water and said, "There's nothing inside." This time, everyone was even more convinced that Lonely Monk was a Buddha child. After all, if he was an ordinary person, there would be a corpse if he died. Seeing that Yin Chang and the other two's attitude had changed, Xian Hui immediately felt reassured. He said to everyone, "Everyone, please help me take down Xianji so that he won't cause trouble for the common people." Master Liaowu and the old ancestor of the Lan family took the lead. Damn it, they had long disliked Xianji. The others also stepped forward to help. As the saying goes, when a wall falls, everyone pushes it down. Since Xianji's power was gone, they had nothing to worry about. Moreover, they were also present when Xianji killed lonely little Buddha. If they didn't do anything, what would they do if Buddha blamed them? Thus, everyone swarmed forward and quickly took Xianji down. At the same time, Xian Hui sent people to find a secret room under Xianji's meditation room. Many women were rescued from there, and some of them were even girls from the side branches of the four great aristocratic families. This time, everyone was even angrier. The Xianji was simply a human with a beast's heart. He said Amitabha, but in reality he was doing something worse than a beast. He really deserved to be cut into 1,000 pieces. After Xian Hui asked Yin Chang and the other two for instructions, he directly killed Xianji. Although he also wanted to learn some secrets from Xianji, he knew that his brain was not as good as Xianji's. If it was too late, the gains would not make up for the losses. Yin Chang and the other two had mixed feelings. They originally thought that it would be fine if they went to the Bitter Zen sect and killed the person who activated the array formation. Who would have thought that they would actually cause so much trouble? Especially that Lone. Was he really the son of Buddha? However, it didn't matter whether he was the son of Buddha or not. He was already dead. Even though Xian Hui fawningly urged the other two to stay for a few more days, Yin Chang and the other two still left the Bitter Zen sect. Everyone also took their leave. Xian Hui had just taken over as the sect master, so he was not in the mood to carry out his original plan. His priority now was to eliminate the remaining followers of Xianji. Therefore, after exchanging a few polite words, he sent everyone off. Master Liaowu and the ancestor of the Lan family were both extremely curious. Where did that troublemaker go? At this time, the troublemaker that they had been thinking about had already returned to the Zen sect. Of course, she had already changed back into female clothes. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5338 Dealing with the aftermath. The reason why this fellow returned to the Zen sect was that she should have been in the Zen sect as well. After all, the Zen sect had brought her here from the Lan family. Secondly, she had to prepare for a rainy day and deal with some trouble. Many people in the Zen sect knew that she had pretended to be lonely. After Yin Chang and the other two returned, it was very likely that the 10,000 Buddha temple would send people to investigate again. Therefore, she had to make a move in advance and let Meng Yanshou erase the memory of her real identity for those who knew about it. Fortunately, only some elders and true disciples in the Zen sect knew about her identity. Otherwise, Meng Yanshou wouldn't have been able to complete it even if he was exhausted to death. When Master Liaowu returned to the Zen sect and saw the lively He Xinjiu, his nose suddenly felt sour. Although he guessed that this troublemaker had already escaped, he didn't see that she was still uneasy. He Xinjiu giggled. "Master, I have something to discuss with you. Can I talk to you in private?" Master Liaowu glared at her, but he still brought her to his meditation room. Yun Chujiu told him her thoughts and didn't hide it. She let out the Meng Yanshou. Master Liaowu looked at the rabbit in front of him and his heart thumped. This thing was the legendary Meng Yanshou. What kind of joke was this? Meng Yanshou saw his suspicious gaze and directly slapped himself to death. Then he revealed his true form. Master Liaowu was shocked. He finally believed it. He thought to himself, this little girl not only has Buddha Lotus, but also Master Meng Yanshou's relic. She actually has a nightmare beast? How did she get it? Master, do you believe me now? Just in case I'm lonely. Other than you, there's no need for anyone else to know. Otherwise, the people of the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall will find out. In addition, there's no need for the 1,000 Buddhas Cave to exist anymore. Let's use some small means to make it collapse. In this way, the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall won't be able to find anything even if they come to investigate. As for the reason, it is already there. Since the lonely little Buddha has already returned to his position, then the collapse of the 1,000 Buddhas Cave is also a matter of course, Yun Chujio said. Master Liaowu couldn't help but nod his head. He felt rather regretful in his heart. If only this little girl was a man. He would take her in as his disciple no matter what. Unfortunately, fate played tricks on him. This was a little girl. Even if he called her master, he wouldn't be able to take her in. After the two of them discussed the details, they found a reason for Master Liaowu to hold a banquet. Everyone present was in the know. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 different dishes, apart from Yun Chujio and Master Liaowu, everyone else was knocked out. The nightmare beast began to weave dreams for everyone. It fabricated the life of the lonely little monk, who had been bowing to Buddha in the 1,000 Buddha Cave since he was young. Then, it eliminated the matter of Yun Chujio pretending to be lonely. If it weren't for the fact that these people were in a coma, Meng Yanshou wouldn't have been able to complete it even if it was exhausted to death. Even so, Meng Yanshou was so tired that he couldn't even finish his words. Little fairy, I am going to hibernate. I have a new script. Remember to give it to me. Keep it for me, Yun Chujio, Master Liaowu. Yun Chujio judged that the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall would send people to investigate soon. It was not suitable for her to stay in the Zen sect anymore. Therefore, the next day she returned to the Lan family under the escort of a Master Lei and others. After the ancestor of the Lan family called her over, he went straight to the point and asked, "Is that loneliness you are pretending to be?" Yun Chujio smiled lightly and said, "Ancestor, little Buddha loneliness has already returned to his position. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Why do you insist on staying here? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53-39. Turning leaves into grass. When the Lan family's ancestor heard her words, he immediately understood that she was admitting the fact that she was lonely in disguise. He sighed. Although little monk Lonely has already returned to his position, there will be traces as long as he existed. The people of the 10,000 Buddhas Sacred Hall will probably send people to the Zen sect to investigate. If the matter is leaked, the consequences will be unimaginable. Ancestor, what are you saying? That little monk Lonesome was originally the disciple of Master Liaowu. Since he was young, he has been paying respects to the Buddha at the 1,000 Buddhas Cave. There is nothing to be leaked, Yun Chujio said with a smile. The eyes of the Lan family's ancestor flashed, and his heart moved. Could it be that this troublemaker and the Zen sect had already prepared the aftermath? However, it was also true. This troublemaker had always been smart, so it was impossible for him not to have thought of this problem. Thinking of this, the worries of the Lan family's old ancestor dissipated a lot, and he said, "You go back and rest first." After Yun Chujio said goodbye, she returned to her own courtyard. The moment she entered the house, she saw a house full of herbs. She immediately thought of the days when Goei Batsao was so arrogant, and she was so angry that she scolded Goei Batsao a few hundred times. Goei Batsao in her dantian hung its leaves aggrievedly. Sigh, the river flows east for 30 years and the river flows west for 30 years. Now, Goei Batsao could only use its leaves to make grass. Yun Chujio put the medicinal herbs into her storage ring and let Hong Ling and the other two in to clean up. Hong Ling and the other two saw that their mist had finally returned to normal. They were about to cry. It was not that they did not want to come in to clean up, but when the mist left previously, she fiercely warned them not to touch those medicinal herbs. How would they dare to come in? Taking advantage of the time when Hong Ling and the other two were cleaning the house, Yun Chujio arrived at the courtyard where Leng Yun and the others were. When Leng Yun saw Yun Chujio, he could not help but cover his storage ring tightly. He and his brothers' wives had all been plundered by her, so what were they doing here? Could it be that they wanted to sell them all? When Yun Chujio saw the wary gazes of Leng Yun and the others, she was so angry that she scolded Goei Batsao again. Yun Chujio comforted everyone for a while. Not only did she return the spirit stones that she owed them, But she also rewarded everyone with a lot of upper-grade spirit stones after giving them their monthly salary. Finally, she managed to pull them back. After Yun Chujio comforted everyone, she called Leng Yun to the side and whispered some things to him. Leng Yun's mouth was wide open and his eyes were wide open. What was his miss trying to do? She was going to turn the sky upside down. However, she was the master and he was the servant. He could only follow orders. After Yun Chujio finished instructing Leng Yun, she strolled around the street and happily returned to the third branch of the Lan family. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Lan Luofeng. Lan Luofeng saw her turn around and ran away. What a joke. If she didn't run away, she would have to force her to buy herbs again. Yun Chujio was speechless and could only shout, "Sister Luofeng, I'm not buying herbs anymore. I'll return the money I owe you." Lan Luofeng was skeptical. After receiving the spirit stones from Yun Chujio, she was sure that little Jiu was not crazy anymore. After Yun Chujio and Gowei Batsao were dealt with, she returned to her own courtyard. She sorted out the recent events. There were really a lot of troublesome things. Firstly, because of the existence of the 10,000 Buddhist sacred hall, she was temporarily unable to save her parents. Second, although she was struck by lightning last time, her cultivation did not increase at all. Instead, she was struck until her primordial spirit was separated from her body. The most important thing now was to think of a way to be struck by lightning. Otherwise, she would never be able to break through. Third, the Divine Devil Hall was always a hidden danger. She had to think of a way to help the pretty boy deal with them. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5340 The Secret of Mount Meru. Yun Chujio thought about the things that she had arranged for Leng Yun and the others to do, and her mood became a little better. If things went smoothly, the Divine Devil Hall of the Chongshao continent would not be able to stir up much trouble in the future. The most important thing now was to be struck by lightning. Only by improving her cultivation base quickly could she have the chance to go to the Divine Enlightenment continent and get rid of the 10,000 Buddhist sacred hall. A few days later, Master Liaowu sent a message to Yun Chujio. Sure enough, the 10,000 Buddhist sacred hall had sent people to the Zen sect. However, they didn't find anything wrong and left very soon. Yun Chujio let out a sigh of relief. Now was not the time to confront the 10,000 Buddhist sacred hall directly. It was better not to provoke them. Yun Chujio had been hoping that Mount Meru would send down heavenly lightning again. However, as time passed day by day and there was still no heavenly lightning, Yun Chujio couldn't help but feel a little anxious. This was not the way to go on. It was better to find out the reason why Mount Meru was struck. Only then would she be able to take the initiative. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio greeted the Lan family's ancestor before leaving the imperial city and heading straight for Mount Meru. This fellow soon arrived at Mount Meru. Unfortunately, he did not find anything unusual after searching the entire area. This fellow could not help but feel a little discouraged. Therefore, she turned her grief and anger into her appetite. She hunted a snowstorm deer and began to roast the meat. Seeing that there was no one else around, she let out all the silly cuties and ate the roast meat together. Gowei Batsao saw that Buttface had been flattering Yun Chujio and immediately became anxious. She kept trying to act cute. Yun Chujio recalled that Gowei Bakeo's performance in the Bitter Zen sect was not bad, so she released this fellow out of kindness. As soon as the Gowei Batsao was released, she immediately pulled Buttface aside with the grass leaves and squeezed him in front of Yun Chujio. Buttface was so angry. He couldn't live like this anymore. Xiao Hanio was in front of him and Buddha's candle was behind him. Now that another Gowei Batsao had jumped out, its position as the #1 spiritual pet was in danger. No, it had to make a contribution or else the position of #1 spiritual pet would be handed over to them. However, it was just a useless snack now. What contribution could it make? Oh, if it could find the reason why Mount Meru was struck by lightning, it would definitely be a great contribution. Mount Meru must have something that was cursed by the heavens. Otherwise, the heavenly lightning wouldn't strike once a month. However, where was that thing hidden? Standing at a high vantage point, Dog 2 couldn't care less about eating roasted meat. It climbed to the highest peak of Mount Meru with a huff. This fellow looked around and looked around. His dog eyes widened. His position as the #1 spiritual pet had been saved. He immediately used his spiritual sense to say excitedly to Yun Chujio, "Little fairy, come over quickly. I've discovered the secret of Mount Meru." Soon Yun Chujio came over with the jumping Gowei Batsao beside her. Buttface looked at Gowei Batsao with a smug look. "Little fellow, you want to compete with Buttface for the pet? Dream on. What secret?" Yun Chujio asked impatiently. Buttface pointed to the distance with his paw. Little fairy, look over there. Don't you find it familiar? Yun Chujio looked in the direction that Go Weiba paw was pointing at. As she looked at it, her heart stirred. She hurriedly took out a piece of paper from her pocket. On the paper was a map. It was the pattern on the bluestone slabs that she had picked up from the Lianxing mountain range. And the map was exactly the same as the terrain in the distance. Yun Chujio's gaze fell on the conspicuous mark on the map. Could it be that the secret of Mount Meru was hidden there? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5341 was so angry that its leaves were curled up. Yun Chujio immediately brought Buttface to the place marked on the map. Buttface bared its teeth at Gowei Batsao provocatively. Little fellow, how could a dumb scheming grass fight with it? It was asking for a beating. Putting everything else aside, the name showed who was superior and who was inferior. It was Buttface, and Gowei Batsao was just a part of it. And it was the most useless tale. Gowei Batsao felt the disdain from Gowei Batsao, and when it wasn't paying attention, it directly tripped it and made Gowei Batsao eat mud. Gowei Batsao was so angry that it shouted, "Little fairy, Gowei Batsao bullied me. You have to make a decision for me." Yun Chujio was in a hurry to find the place marked on the map, so she directly glared at Gowei Batsao. "If you continue to cause trouble, I won't let you out in the future." Gowei Batsao was instantly thrown into chaos. What did it do wrong? Didn't it just trip Buttface? This smelly girl treated it like this, it really made its heart chill. It was the grass that had accompanied her for the longest time. Its status was several times higher than that of Buttface, so why couldn't she see its good? The more Gowei Batsao thought about it, the sadder it became. The more it thought about it, the sadder it became. It simply laid on the ground and didn't leave. Yun Chujio was in a hurry to find the place marked on the map, so she did not pay attention to Gowei Batsao. As for Buttface, he was eager for Gowei Batsao to get lost, so he did not say anything. Gowei Batsao saw that Yun Chujio and Buttface were getting further and further away. It was so angry that its leaves were curled up. It decided that it would never come out again. Even if that stupid girl was in danger, it would not care. It was just a vessel for it. It had nothing to do with its life or death. Just as Gowei Batsao was thinking about it, it heard Yun Chujio shouting from afar, "Gowei Batsao, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and get over here." Gowei Batsao immediately jumped up and ran over happily. It had completely forgotten what it was thinking just now. This fellow was trying to find a way out for itself. Although it had nothing to do with the life and death of this wretched girl, it had a large amount of grass for Xiao Moga's sake, so it forgave her this time. As for that Buttface Hmpich, it's not too late for Gowei Batsao to take revenge. Let's wait and see. Yun Chujio ignored the jealousy between Buttface and Gowei Batsao. Her gaze fell on a cliff in front of her. This cliff was where the marked mark on the map was. Could it be that there was something that could attract heavenly lightning? Hey, is there anyone inside? I'm here to save you. Yun Chujio stretched her neck and shouted a few times, but other than her echo there was no other movement. She rolled her eyes, raised her hand, and several bolts of lightning struck the stone wall. However, there was still no reaction. Yun Chujio originally wanted to use the talisman to blow up the stone wall, but then she remembered that Mount Meru not only prohibited flying, but also couldn't use the talisman. This fellow had no choice but to pick up the large kitchen knife and start hacking. After this fellow hacked for a while, Buttface pointed to the sky and said, "Little fairy, congratulations, you're going to be struck by lightning." Yun Chujio looked up and saw that Wu Yun had started to gather. Wu Yun narrowed her eyes. It seemed that the thing hidden behind the stone wall was not a trivial matter. Otherwise, Wu Yun would not have come as soon as she started to strike. It seemed that she had found a good way to be struck by lightning. It was really something to celebrate. Yun Chujio looked at the Wu Yun in the sky and narrowed her eyes again. Very good. It was the Wu Yun that had struck her Yuan Shin out of her body last time. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5342 was in big trouble. Wu Yun in the sky was also feeling very complicated. Last time she thought that she had killed this scourge, but she did not expect that not only was she not dead, but she even found this place. It was simply courting death. The secret of this place must not be exposed to the public, so she was in big trouble. Even if it could not kill her, the dark clouds that followed would also kill Wu Yun. Yun Chujio inexplicably felt Wu Yun's gloating and her heart tightened. She felt that it was not appropriate for her to stay here for long. Therefore she put Buttface into the spirit beast bag and ran away. As this guy ran, he felt that he seemed to have forgotten something. Forget it, it should be something not too important. Go-wei Batsao that was left behind? Have you forgotten your little cutie? This wasn't all Yun Chujia's fault. After all, Go-wei Batsao was only recently exposed. She wasn't used to having such a thing by her side. Moreover, Go-wei Batsao was only formed from spiritual power. It wouldn't affect anything even if it dissipated. All she had to do was release it again. But Go-wei Batsao didn't think so. This fellow felt that even though it was now a small treasury, the wretched girl didn't care about its life and death. It was simply an ingrate's act of madness. It was too chilling. This fellow thought for a moment, but still waved its leaf and chased after it. It wasn't helping it, but wanted to see the little girl's bad luck with its own eyes. It had already sensed that the little girl was about to face a great disaster. Now let's see if Dog 2 was still showing off. Pui. It was just a fierce beast, yet it still dared to show off in front of it. It really didn't know whether it was dead or alive. Wu Yun in the sky saw that Yun Chujio actually wanted to escape, so she naturally wouldn't just stand by and watch. She began to hack at Yun Chujio, wanting to delay time and wait for reinforcements to arrive. Seeing Wu Yun like this, Yun Chujio was even more convinced that there was a conspiracy. She had to leave Mount Meru's no-fly zone before Wu Yun's main army arrived. Otherwise, her little life would be finished today. However, the stone wall from before was in the deepest part of Mount Meru. The path was very difficult to traverse. Even if she used all her strength, she still did not dare to leave Mount Meru before Wu Yun's reinforcements arrived. At this moment, everything within a radius of 1,000 li fell into darkness. Under the immense pressure, all of Mount Meru's demonic beasts exploded and died. Not a single one survived. In the Imperial City, those with weaker cultivation bases were forced to spit out blood under the pressure. Even the Lan family's patriarch felt his chest tighten and he could not breathe. His heart sank. That troublemaker had gone to Mount Meru. Could it be that he had stirred up some great disaster? Just the gathering of Wu Yun was already so powerful. Once the heavenly lightning struck, how could he survive? The Lan family's ancestor sighed and couldn't care about anything else. He immediately ordered all the people in the Imperial City to leave with him to avoid this disaster. The other nearby cities were the same. They quickly fled on flying spirit tools, afraid that they would die if they were even half a step late. Go-wei Batsao had already caught up to Yun Chujio. Seeing this terrifying scene, although it wasn't afraid, it couldn't help but worry for Yun Chujio. It's over, it's over. This time the smelly girl was going to die. Buttface, who was in the spirit beast bag, was so regretful that its intestines turned green. If it knew this would happen, it would rather not make a contribution. If the little girl died, they definitely wouldn't be able to live. Yun Chujio didn't stop. She continued to run as fast as she could. When she saw the demonic beasts that exploded and died, her heart was filled with guilt and anger. Why did this damn Wu Yun decide the life and death of these demonic beasts? Why? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-43. Insignificant Go-wei Batsao sensed Yun Chujio's thoughts. It waved its leaves and dashed forward with all its might while cursing in its heart. What an idiot. What? Because Wu Yun was the will of Tian Dao. Not to mention the demon beasts, even killing all the living beings on the 3,000 continents would be a piece of cake for Tian Dao. The things that Tian Dao wanted to kill had no value. Thinking of this, Go-wei Batsao glanced at Hei Shinjio, who was running desperately. Cough, cough. Of course there were also accidents. For example, this smelly girl. Tian Dao had killed her many times, but he still couldn't kill her. Just as Go-wei Batsao was thinking, Yun Chujio suddenly turned around and ran back. Go-wei Batsao was completely dumbfounded. Was this smelly girl's brain damaged? Why did she still run back? She could only use the flying spiritual weapon outside the no-fly zone. Wouldn't she be courting death by running back? Of course, Yun Chujio's brain wasn't damaged. She had already realized that no matter how fast she ran, she wouldn't be able to leave the no-fly zone in a short period of time. This time, Wu Yun was coming at her aggressively. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Therefore, it was basically an extravagant hope for her to leave the no-fly zone. Since that was the case, she might as well go back to the bottom of the cliff. Since it was fine to be struck by lightning month after month, it meant that the cliff must be very resistant to lightning. Perhaps she could find a chance to survive there. At this moment, several dark clouds struck down countless lightning bolts, heading straight for Yun Chujio. Go-wei Batsao almost subconsciously turned to its maximum and supported Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio stopped in her tracks and continued to run forward. Gowei Batsao was struck by the heavenly lightning and instantly dissipated. This fellow sighed in his heart. It was too weak now. It was only slightly stronger than Buttface. Just as he was thinking, Yun Chujio released him again. Then he was instantly struck and dissipated. After releasing Gowei Batsao frequently, Yun Chujio's spiritual power was quickly depleted, and there was still a long way to go before she reached the cliff. She smiled bitterly in her heart. She was afraid that she would not be able to survive today. She did not know what secret was hidden in the cliff that made Tiandao so angry. Even when she cursed Tiandao previously, it did not reach such a terrifying level. Rumble. 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 Several bolts of lightning struck down once again. At that instant, the light illuminated the entire sky. Yun Chujio could even faintly see the dark clouds trembling with pride. She could not help but reveal a bitter smile. Previously she had thought that Wu Yun was nothing special. Which time had she not been frightened by her and fled? Only now did she understand that she was wrong. She was extremely wrong. Previously it was just that Tiandao did not take her seriously. Now that she had taken her seriously, she finally realized how insignificant she was. In essence, she was no different from those demonic beasts. She was just an ant that was waiting to be slaughtered. However, even so, Tiandao did not have the right to kill her. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, she had to survive. Thinking of this, she activated all the defensive spirit tools on her body and gritted her teeth as she continued to run towards the cliff. However, with just one strike, all the spirit tools were reduced to dust. Under the might of the heavens, those spirit tools could not withstand a single strike. Another wave of heavenly lightning struck down. Yun Chujio could not avoid it and was struck squarely. A huge pit instantly appeared on the ground. Before Yun Chujio could jump out of the pit, another wave of heavenly lightning struck down. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and summoned little Wu Yun. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-44 was so painful that Xiao Mogu even forgot about it. Yun Chujio flew out of the deep pit on a small dark cloud and headed straight for the cliff. Wu Yun was her last trump card. If it wasn't a last resort, she didn't want to use it. But now she could only place her hopes on Wu Yun. Wu Yun faced the lightning and brought Yun Chujio along as they quickly floated towards the cliff. When those Wu Yun saw little Wu Yun, the lightning struck down even more violently. In their eyes, little Wu Yun was a disgrace to the Wu Yun world, a traitor to the Wu Yun world. She had actually become a human's personal pet. She was simply unworthy of being a Yun. Little Wu Yun was still in her infancy stage. How could she be a match for those big Wu Yun? In an instant she was on the verge of collapsing. If she did not rely on the ruthlessness in her heart to hold on, she would have long been struck to sleep. Even though little Wu Yun tried her best, she was still unable to send Yun Chujio to the cliff. With her last bit of strength she landed on the ground. Yun Chujio put away the little Wu Yun with reddened eyes and continued to run forward. Boom, boom, boom. Heavenly lightning struck Yun Chujio's body continuously. She was covered in blood as she lay at the bottom of the pit. Other than her eyes, she could not even move any other parts of her body. Guai Chao was secreting juice to repair Yun Chujio's body while cursing in his heart. Let's see, wouldn't it still have to rely on its dog tail in the end? Without it, this stupid girl would have died countless times. Only it had a large amount of Go Weiba and did not care about the past. This stupid girl really did not know how to be grateful. Yun Chujio could no longer feel the bone-piercing pain because she was already numb from the pain. She looked at the heavenly lightning that kept striking down and her heart was filled with unwillingness. Was she going to die just like that? What did she do wrong for Tiandao to want to kill her? Heavenly lightning spirit root? It was really laughable. This was not something that she could decide. Since there was a heavenly lightning spirit root in this world, there was a reason for it to exist. Was it because of the thing in the cliff? That thing was not something that she had built and it had nothing to do with her. If Tiandao had the ability, why didn't he destroy that thing? Instead he took it out on himself? He was really picking on the weak. Yun Chujio suddenly had a thought and used her spiritual sense to say to Guai Chao, Tiandao wants to kill me, but I think it should be aimed at my primordial spirit. If you immediately seize control of the body, you might be able to escape this calamity. Gowei Batsao rejected this suggestion from the bottom of his heart. Other things aside, this wretched girl's body could not be any more miserable. If it wanted to possess her body it would feel the same. How painful would that be? However, it also knew that this might be the only way to escape, so it could only bite the bullet and seize control of Yun Chujio's body. The moment it possessed her, Go-Wei Batsao was in so much pain that it even forgot about Xiao Mogu. It was too fucking painful. How did this wretched girl endure it? Go-Wei Batsao even suspected that Yun Chujio was deliberately messing with it. It was so painful that it even suspected that the grass was growing. This fellow thought that if the heavenly lightning continued to strike down, it would return the control of its body to that stupid girl no matter what. This was simply too unbearable. However, contrary to Go-Wei Bakeo's expectations, the heavenly lightning really did not strike down again. Oh, could this trick really work? Go-Wei Batsao simply closed its eyes and adjusted its aura to the lowest level, pretending to be dead. Wu Yun in the sky seemed to be a little suspicious. Although he did not continue to strike the heavenly lightning, it did not disperse. For a moment, both sides were in a stalemate. Go-Wei Batsao used this time to quickly repair Yun Chujia's bloody body. At the same time, she did not forget to provoke the other two holdouts in her dantian. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-45 Go-Wei Batsao felt that the black bead and the great void mirror could not be compared to it. It was as if they had eaten their fill for nothing. The great void mirror and the black bead turned a blind eye to its provocation. They did not have the slightest reaction. Go-Wei Batsao could not help but mutter in a low voice, "Stupid girl, did you see that? Among your spiritual pets, I am the most reliable one. The rest of them have eaten their fill for nothing." Yun Chujio almost died from anger. "You idiot. Shut up." Before Yun Chujio could finish her sentence, several bolts of lightning struck down. Go-Wei Batsao, if time could be reversed, it would definitely be a competent mute. This fellow grimaced in pain and said, "Anyway, it's already exposed. It's better for you to do it." Before Yun Chujio could react, Go-Wei Batsao returned the control of its body to her. Yun Chujio wished that she could strangle the Go-Wei Batsao to death. Now that she had been exposed, the trick of deceiving the world was useless. How was she going to reach the cliff? Another few waves of heavenly lightning struck down. Yun Chujio could not even move her eyes. She felt that she was going to die this time. At this moment, the Go-Wei Batsao in her dantian suddenly seized control of Yun Chujio's body. Yun Chujio was stunned. She used her spiritual sense to ask, "Go-Wei Batsao, what do you want to do?" Go-Wei Batsao quickly repaired Yun Chujio's body with its juice. Only then did it manage to say one word, "Whip." After saying that, Go-Wei Batsao returned the control of her body to Yun Chujio again. Yun Chujio was stunned at first, then she understood Go-Wei Bakeo's meaning. That's right. She could release Go-Wei Batsao and let it send her flying. Although the fall might be terrible, no matter how terrible it was still better than being struck to death by lightning. However, she had little spiritual power left, so she had to calculate the angle well. Otherwise she would really die. Yun Chujio quickly thought of the topographic map of Mount Meru and chose the shortest path before releasing Go-Wei Batsao. The first thing the Go-Wei Batsao had to do was to pull Yun Chujio to the ground first and then send her flying. Unfortunately, the Go-Wei Batsao had just pulled Yun Chujio to the ground when it dissipated. Yun Chujio had no choice but to use all her strength to release the Go-Wei Batsao again. She used her spiritual sense to say, "Go-Wei Batsao, don't you know how to save a small amount of money?" The Go-Wei Batsao was instantly delighted. That's right, how could it forget this skill? It could completely create the illusion of dispersing to deceive those silly clouds. This way, it could accumulate its strength and send the smelly girl to the cliff. Yun Chujio released Go-Wei Batsao again. Go-Wei Batsao used all its strength to send Yun Chujio flying with its leaves. Then, before the heavenly lightning struck, it created the illusion of dispersing. Wu Yun in the sky looked at He Xinjiu, who was sent flying by its spiritual beast, and was somewhat dumbfounded. What was going on? Internal strife? Yun Chujio calculated the time when she was about to land and released the Go-Wei Batsao again. The Go-Wei Batsao waved its leaves and sent her flying again. In this way, not only would she save time, but she could also avoid the tragic result of He Xinjiu falling to her death. Wu Yun finally regained his senses and slashed at He Xinjiu. However, He Xinjiu, who was sent flying, flew very quickly. The heavenly lightning could not strike her accurately, and she miraculously survived to the bottom of the cliff. Yun Chujio felt complicated when she saw the hole that she had made with her kitchen knife. However, it was not the time to think about it now. She gritted her teeth and crawled to the bottom of the hole. She thought that the hole had formed a barrier. Even if the heavenly lightning could turn, it would consume a large part of the power of the lightning. She should be able to catch her breath for a moment. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5346 was actually. Yun Chujio was pleasantly surprised to find that the heavenly lightning had actually stopped. Yun Chujio was puzzled. Could it be that the heavenly lightning did not dare to strike this cliff? Did it strike Mount Meru just to prevent humans from approaching this place? This fellow's eyes immediately lit up. It was true. After thinking about it carefully, the heavenly lightning that she had encountered earlier did not strike in this direction. How stupid was she? If she had thought of this earlier, why would she be struck into such a miserable state? However, it was not too late to think about it now. Once her body recovered, she would deal with this group of Wu Yun. Yun Chujio took out a handful of pills and swallowed them. After recovering some strength, she took out a roasted chicken and started to eat it. Only after filling her stomach would she have the strength to take revenge. Goei Batsao also waved its grass leaves and flew over at this moment. When it saw that Yun Chujio was actually eating chicken, it could not help but shake its leaves. This smelly girl's heart was really big. Even at this time she still did not forget to eat. After Yun Chujio finished eating and drinking, the injuries on her body were almost healed by Goei Batsao. She sighed in her heart. Although this Goei Batsao was sometimes unreliable, it was still very useful. In the future, she should not scold it too much. Yun Chujio rested for a while and took out her kitchen knife to continue cutting the cliff. This fellow gritted his teeth as he thought, I want to see what made Tiandao so angry. Yun Chujio's actions clearly angered the dark clouds. The thunder rumbled non-stop, but they all struck the side of the cliff and did not land on the cliff. Yun Chujio had another guess in her heart. It was probably not that Wu Yun did not dare to cut the cliff, but that the cliff was set up with a formation so that the thunder could not strike it. With this understanding, Heizinjia's hacking became more and more joyful. There must be a treasure hidden in this cliff. I'm rich. I'm rich. It was not in vain for me to be hacked so miserably. This fellow kept hacking and hacking. She did not know what mechanism he had accidentally touched. A white light flashed in front of her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, she was already in a cave. Goei Batsao, who was left on the spot, have you forgotten your little cutie again? Yun Chujio looked around and found that the cave was ordinary. There was only a yellowed sheepskin scroll on the stone platform in front of her. Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little disappointed. After all the trouble, there was only such a thing hidden inside? However, this fellow thought about it again. Perhaps it was a treasure map or something like that, and his mood became a little better. She did not dare to rashly take the sheepskin scroll. Instead, she released Goei Batsao again and asked it to help her bring the sheepskin scroll over. Goei Batsao really wanted to ignore her, but it was also curious about what was written on the sheepskin scroll, so it jumped over, wrapped the sheepskin scroll with its leaves and handed it to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio saw that there was nothing unusual, so she took the sheepskin scroll. However, she found that the sheepskin scroll was only half finished, and the back part had been cut off with a sharp weapon. The sheepskin scroll was written in ancient characters, so she had to let Dog 2 out and let it read it to her. Buttface was feeling guilty about what had happened before. Now that he had the chance to make up for it, he naturally cherished it. He ignored Goei Bakeo's provocation and read it seriously. This is a secret of the celestial race. It is of great importance and is kept a secret. If it were to appear in the world, our celestial race would definitely suffer a huge loss. I hope that the fated people can lend a hand to our descendants. Yun Chujio was stunned. This sheepskin scroll was actually a secret of the God clan. What kind of great secret was it that made it sound so solemn? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5347, The Deity and Demon Race. Buttface continued to read. In the ancient Mesozoic era, the continent was divided into two. The ruler was the deity and demon race. The deity and demon race were actually the same ancestors. Yun Chujio, holy shit. Did it have to be so exciting? The deity and demon race, these two sworn enemies, were the same ancestors? Wait, what kind of relationship did the deity and demon race have with the deity and demon temple? She suppressed the astonishment in her heart and listened to Buttface continue reading. The general meaning was that the two continents had been occupied by the two families of the celestial race and the demon race. As the conflict became deeper and deeper, the two continents finally had a war. It was because of that war that the two continents fell apart and became the 3,000 continents today. What happened after that? Yun Chujio asked urgently. Buttface waved the sheepskin scroll in his hand. There's nothing after that. It was broken by someone. Yun Chujio was extremely aggrieved. Just when she was engrossed in listening, He told her that there was nothing after that. However, even the information she had obtained now was enough to shock her. No wonder Emperor Shin said that there was a big secret hidden in the ancient Mesozoic era. It was really too sensational. The celestial race and the demon race were actually the same ancestor. They even fought foolishly for tens of thousands of years. Weren't they full of themselves? Also, how freakishly strong were the celestial and demon race back then? They actually tore the two continents apart and turned them into 3,000 continents? Wasn't this destructive power too terrifying? Most importantly, what relationship did the celestial and demon race have with the celestial and demon race? If the master of the god-demon temple was the god-demon race, oh my god, that would be too terrifying. Why did Tiandao stop the sheepskin scroll from appearing? What was it afraid of? Also, what was recorded in the second half of the sheepskin scroll? And who would have it? The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more she felt a headache. She couldn't figure it out for a long time. Goei Batsao, who was at the side, wasn't interested in these things. This fellow hooked the leaves of the grass at Buttface. It was obvious that he wanted to teach Buttface a lesson. Buttface's eyes flashed. It was not strong enough to be fooled. Yun Chujio quickly understood. Although she could not understand it now, the day would come when the clouds would rise again. There was no need to dwell on it. She thought for a while and asked Goei Batsao to put the sheepskin scroll back into the distance. This thing would attract the wrath of Tiandao. It was better to stay here. Moreover, with this thing in Mount Meru, she would have an endless supply of heavenly lightning to absorb. Only a fool would kill the chicken to get the egg. However, how could she leave this place? This fellow wandered around for a long time but still could not find a way to leave. After thinking for a moment, he bowed respectfully to the stone platform. Since I have seen this sheepskin scroll, I will definitely help the celestial race to take revenge. Please send me out of here. She was also desperate. Who would have thought that a white light would flash before her eyes and she would appear at her original location? How could this work? However, no matter what, she was finally out. As for the celestial enemies, they were most likely related to the divine devil hall. When the time came, she would help the celestials take revenge. However, what about the Wu Yun outside? Once she left the cliff, she would be struck by lightning again. Wu Yun rolled her eyes and arrived outside the cliff. She used the sticky threads to climb up. The dark clouds couldn't do anything. Even if they were the heavenly lightning that was aimed at Yun Chujio, they would eventually deviate and fall somewhere else. Yun Chujio quickly climbed to the highest point of the cliff. A sinister smile appeared on her face. She began to secretly stab and bleed. She had suffered a great deal today. She would be letting herself down if she didn't get more cloud wings. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. The blood in the ball splashed everywhere and the distance was very far. At the same time, Yun Chujio took a few steps back and returned to the safe zone. However, Wu Yun was unlucky. All the Yun wings that were splashed by Yun Chujio's blood flew towards Hei Shinjio spontaneously, without any intention of missing their old master. Those new Wu Yun were completely dumbfounded. What happened? Who were they? Where were they? What were they doing? Yun Chujio watched as the Yun wings flew over one by one, and the cloud fishing rod swayed even more happily. However, the blood in the ball was quickly depleted. This fellow was very regretful. If she had known that these Wu Yun were so stupid, she would have endured the pain and bled more. What a mistake. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5349 had never suffered such grievance at this moment. The Wu Yun were both afraid and angry. Their hard-earned cloud wings had been taken away by that scourge just like that? The thing that puzzled them the most was why would the cloud wings acknowledge her as their master when her blood splashed onto the cloud wings? However, seeing that there was no more blood in the ball, the Wu Yun felt a little more at ease. Moreover, they realized that if they had not fallen into the trap and lowered their altitude, the scourge would not have been able to abduct their wings. Therefore Wu Yun rose higher and higher. They were determined. They did not believe that the scourge would hide in the cliff for the rest of her life. If they did not kill her this time, they would not go back. Hei Shinjio quickly discovered the plans of the Wu Yun. This fellow was not worried but happy instead. She could not wait for these Wu Yun to guard here. If that was the case, wouldn't she have an inexhaustible power of lightning? She took this opportunity to improve her cultivation. Although a rapid increase in cultivation might cause her foundation to be unstable, it was a rare opportunity that could not be missed. At most, she would think of ways to stabilize her cultivation later. Thus, this fellow set up camp on the cliff. Anyway, this fellow had a lot of food in his storage ring. He did not need to worry about food and drink. This fellow's daily routine was to cultivate, eat, and sleep. When he had nothing to do, he would still anger those Wu Yun. It was simply wonderful. When the lightning power in her body was exhausted, she would go out to absorb some lightning power and continue cultivating. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. The dark clouds in the sky were so angry that they were about to die. They felt that if they continued to stay here, that wretched girl might even ascend. They were too angry with the clouds. They had never been wronged like this before. Woo, this scourge was simply not human. She was just a pervert. In the end, the dark clouds poured down a torrential rain and floated away with silent wails. Yun Chujio waved her claws and shouted with a smile, "Hey, don't go. Just stay for a few more days." Wu Yun was so angry that she was trembling. "Play my ass. If you continue to play, it'll make you a scourge soar into the sky." After the rain stopped, Yun Chujio tidied up for a while and then slowly walked out of the cliff. Mount Meru had been struck by lightning for the past few days and had already been turned into the Valley of Meru. The land was charred black and there were no living beings. There was not even a single blade of wild grass. It was exceptionally desolate. However, Yun Chujio believed that it would not be long before this place regained its vitality. This was the tenacity of life. Even if the wind blew and the rain hit, even if one was suffering, they would not lose their instinct to survive. Yun Chujio gave herself a bowl of chicken soup for the soul and slowly walked out of the Valley of Meru. Although Wu Yun had covered thousands of miles in the beginning, they had all gathered near the Sumeru mountain. The people in the surrounding cities had already returned to their own cities a few days ago, but they were still trembling with fear. Only when the heavy rain stopped did everyone feel more at ease. The disaster had finally passed. They did not know what had happened on the Sumeru mountain to cause such a huge disaster. Yun Chujio entered the imperial city and went straight to the ancestral residence. Old ancestor embark. When the Lan family's old ancestor saw this fellow, he wished he could strangle her to death. Even if he used his heel to think, he knew that she was the one who had caused this calamity. Of course, the Lan family's old ancestor would not admit it. He was actually a little worried that she would play with his life. The ancestor was about to teach her a lesson, but in the next moment he was stunned on the spot. Peak level 6 of spirit destruction? In 3 months you actually broke through from peak level 8 to peak level 6 of spirit destruction? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5350. The things that Yun Chujio had told him. Hearing the words of the Lan family's patriarch, Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth. If Wu Yun hadn't left because of homesickness, I would have been able to advance 2 levels. What a pity. The Lan family's patriarch. He had lived for nearly 1,000 years and only managed to cultivate to the 8th level of the spirit extinguisher level. However, this troublemaker had broken through to the peak of the 6th level of the spirit extinguisher level in 2 months. It was simply infuriating. The patriarch of the Lan family was in an extremely complicated mood. For a moment, he did not even have the mood to teach Hei Shinjio a lesson. He waved his hand and said, "You can go back first. Come back another day." Yun Chujio did not say anything else and left obediently. After Yun Chujio left, the masked old man walked out of the secret door behind the bookshelf stiffly. He had also heard Yun Chujio's words. At this moment, his mood was also very complicated. The Heavenly Thunder Spirit Root was indeed worthy of being called the Heavenly Thunder Spirit Root. The speed of this breakthrough was really too astonishing. The two of them were silent for a long time before the old man said, "Master, Yun Chujio's talent is better than what we expected. This is more beneficial to our plan. When do you plan to tell her the truth?" The Lan family's ancestor closed his eyes and was silent for a moment. "No rush, wait a little longer. How is Luo Chen?" Young Master Luo Chen's cultivation has reached the peak of the 7th level of the Spirit Extinguisher realm, but his realm is still not very stable, the old man said. He could not help but sigh in his heart. All of them were freaks. As long as there was an opportunity, this breakthrough would be as easy as eating. The ancestor of the Lan family knocked on the table with his finger. After his realm is stable, let him come back. Yes. After Hei Shinjio left the Lan family's ancestral house, she did not go back to the 3 houses of the Lan family. Instead, she went to the courtyard where Leng Yun and the others were stationed. When Leng Yun saw Yun Chujio, he collapsed on the ground with a thud. Oh my god. It had only been 3 months since they last saw each other. How could their master's cultivation level rise so fast? Although his cultivation level was lower than Yunchuji's and he did not know what Yunchuji's cultivation level was at the moment, he could feel that his abnormal master's cultivation level had improved a lot compared to the past. Yunchujio could not help but laugh when she saw his appearance. She said with a chuckle, "How is the task I asked you to do?" Leng Yun quickly got up and said, "Everything is going smoothly." Now, whether it is the bitter Zen sect or the Qi family, they are constantly at odds with the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. The task she had arranged for Leng Yun and the others to do previously was to use the name of the Divine Devil Hall to cause trouble everywhere. Although it was just a trivial matter, it was fermented bit by bit, it was enough to cause friction between them. When their conflict could not be reconciled, it would be the best time for the various major powers to join forces to attack the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Chujio ordered Leng Yun and the others to fan the flames appropriately without exposing their identities and to guide the public opinion. Only then did they return to the third branch of the Lan family. The moment she entered the door of the third branch, she was invited to Lan Dimeo's study. Lan Dimeo had also guessed that the heavenly thunder on Mount Meru was related to Yun Chujio. However, now that Yun Chujio was directly listening to the arrangements of the Lan family's ancestor, he could not interfere, so he rarely interfered with Yun Chujio's matters. However, he still had to give her a good beating. Otherwise, how would he, his great-uncle, have any face? Therefore Lan Dimeo's face was stern. He was prepared to give Yun Chujio a scolding the moment she entered. However, when he realized that he could not see through Yun Chujio's cultivation, he was immediately confused. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53-51? Lan Dimeo felt that he was hallucinating. Otherwise, how could he not see through the cultivation of this troublemaker? Or else, the ancestor had given her some treasure to hide her cultivation? He asked curiously, "Little Jiu, what is your cultivation now?" "Sai, uncle, you also know that my aptitude is not good and my talent is average, so my cultivation speed is really too slow. Right now, I am only at the peak of the 6th level of Spirit Extinguisher. Isn't it a little low?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. "Lan Dimeo, aptitude isn't good? Talent is average? Cultivation speed is too slow? Cultivation is a little low?" He wanted to beat someone up. He wanted to strangle this troublemaker who was taking advantage of him. Lan Dimeo felt that his entire person was in bad shape. This troublemaker actually broke through to the peak of level 6 of Spirit Extinguisher. He was only at the peak of level 5 of Spirit Extinguisher, alright? Lan Dimeo was the same as the Lan family's ancestor, and at this moment, he didn't want to speak. Thus he said a few words perfunctorily and sent Yun Chujio away. As for the words that he was prepared to reprimand, what was there to say? If he could break through so many times in a row, it wouldn't matter even if he broke through the heavens. Yun Chujio thought of the stiff expressions of the Lan family's ancestor and Lan Dimeo and couldn't help but laugh. As expected, the strong were respected. It seemed that cultivating properly was the right path. However, the speed of her improvement this time was a little fast. Her foundation wasn't very stable, so she couldn't break through rashly in the near future. Therefore, for the next period of time, Yun Chujio didn't go out much. She had been cultivating in the courtyard. The battle between Buttface, Buddha's Candle, and Goei Bikeo's #1 spiritual pet was also going on like wildfire. There would be a few fights every day. Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with them. She would only scold them when things got out of hand. Only with competition would there be progress. Moreover, she was happy to watch the show. Those dumb cuties were also watching the show. They felt that these three were really idle. Xiao Hanio, on the other hand, was calm and composed. He sneered in his heart. "No matter how hard you fought, you wouldn't be able to compete with my position in the little girl's heart. You three idiots." That night, Hei Shinjio was watching Buttface and the others fighting over the pet. Di Biming's clear voice came from outside the door. "Xiaojio, open the door." Yun Chujio was delighted. The gigolo was here. This guy thought to himself, this gigolo had finally made some progress under her training. At least, he wouldn't smash the door. She was happy, but Goei Batsao trembled. That jinx won't settle the score later, right? The more she thought about it, the more afraid she became. Therefore, when Di Biming came in, she saw a grass kneeling on the ground. Di Biming glanced at her and directly waved his palm to disperse her. "Goei Batsao, fine. You're ruthless. You'll never be able to sleep with that stinky girl in your life." Seeing Goei Batsao dissipate, Buttface gloated and said obsequiously, Your Excellency, you're here? I haven't seen you for a few days and you're becoming more and more brilliant. Get out? Okay. I will get out now. Buttface scrambled out of the bedroom. What a joke. That Goei Batsao was only a spiritual beast. It didn't matter if it dissipated, but if it did, it would really dissipate. Buddha's candle saw that the situation was not good and returned to Yun Chujia's left palm. Di Biming looked at his little wife and felt very stifled. There was Guai Chao, the great void mirror, and the black bead in his dantian. There was Buddha's candle in his left hand and a small flame in his right hand. There were also a few drifters hidden between his brows, not to mention the bunch of idiots in the spiritual beast pouch. Was this his wife or the wives of these idiots? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.